Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, voice star of Disney's upcoming movie Planes in theaters August 9th, Dane Cook.
Drivers, start your engines!
Enthusiastically done by Dane Cook and responded to enthusiastically by this huge Pocono crowd that's gathered for today's race. What driver will go to victory lane at the end of the day? Well, these fans here have seen Denny Hamlin drive that number 11 into the winner's circle on 4 different occasions in the past. Nationwide Series doesn't run here at Pocono, so for a rookie to win here is unusual. But Denny swept the Pocono races in his rookie season and has gone on to win twice more since. Denny's our ESPN in-race reporter today. We talk to him on the pace laps next. I don't know what kind of grades I got in geometry, but I do remember that the triangle is the strongest shape, and you've got to be pretty strong to wrestle a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series machine around the tricky triangle for 400 miles today. The field getting set to roll from the pit lane before the start of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series GoBowling.com 400. Our ESPN in-race reporter, Denny Hamlin, has a pretty good record of success here at this racetrack with 4 wins, 7 top 10 finishes in his first 9 races, but since they repaved the track, it's gone from Hamlin really being stuck like glue to this slippery pavement to maybe slipping around a little bit on the stickier pavement. Go figure that. I'm sure he's trying to. He's our ESPN in-race reporter today.
Hey, Denny, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You with us?
10-4.
Hey, Denny, I know we can't do anything about the weather, but I have to believe that you and your 11 team could have really used some time on the racetrack there yesterday. Even with your outstanding record here, do you have an idea of what to expect from this car as you get ready to start today?
Realistically, no. It's going to be a crapshoot. We obviously have been searching for some speed here lately, and really our qualifying hasn't been bad, but our racing, especially in traffic, has struggled. So we've been working with that and trying to get it better. So we're trying some different stuff today, and we'll see if it all pans out for us.
All right, Denny, our mailbag question comes from a young man in Evansville, Indiana. This is his question. It says, "Hello, Denny. I am Hunter Devine, and I'm 11 years old. I would like to know which was harder to come back from in the race car, your back injury or your leg?"
I'd say the back has been more of the nagging issue, but you know, the knee was the most painful by far, trying to race with that. But this one, I feel most comfortable when I'm inside this FedEx office Toyota. So as long as I'm racing, I'm good. So hopefully we'll just keep it on track.
All right, Danny. Well, we know you're always good here, so look forward to talking to you later in the day. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Darian Grove.
10-4, thank y'all.
Hey, Darian, Andy Petrie in the booth. You have us?
Yeah, I got you, Andy.
Hey, Darian, you got a driver behind the wheel that has a ton of success here before they paved this racetrack. But since they paved it, just how different is this surface now to set up for?
It's a whole different animal now with the fresh asphalt there. Tire wear used to be an issue, so tire management was a big deal. So now it's all about pure speed and track positions. We're going to fight all day to try to stay up front.
Well, okay, Darian, can we expect to see some strategy calls on pit road today?
Yeah, I think you'll see them from one end to the other of both sides of the spectrum. So looking forward to playing the game today.
Okay, man, I hope you hit it right. Thanks a lot, Darian. Good luck.
I like that.
Thank you.
Look forward to playing the game today.
Uh-huh.
There'll be a lot of that going on pit road. Has some great ESPN high-definition onboard cameras from onboard these race cars. Didn't I just say onboard there? I'll get that right. Brad Keselowski's got our Ford EcoBoost on board. Makes sense. It's a camera on board a car, right? Yeah. Work with me here. Denny Hamlin's got our Toyota on board. Tony Stewart, a little different look to his car today, and carrying our GoDaddy on board. Kyle Busch has the Goodyear onboard camera. And 6-time Pocono winner Jeff Gordon with our Sunoco on board.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And the wind is a lot stronger today. Tailwind off of 3. It's pretty darn strong.
Eddie DeHaan, the spotter, talking to Jeff Gordon about the wind conditions as he gets ready to start. Kevin Harvick has our Sprint onboard camera. Indy winner Ryan Newman with the Mobil 1 on board, and the pole sitter Jimmy Johnson has our Chevy on board for today's race. Don't forget, you can check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy and watch all the live race coverage from Pocono with 10 HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboard. NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Back live Pocono Raceway, 1 lap from the start of today's 400-miler. Some quick stories from pit road before the green. Here's Vince.
A week ago at Indianapolis, a mistake on pit road cost Jimmy Johnson and this 48 team an opportunity to kiss the bricks. But Jimmy didn't dwell on it despite the pain that it caused everyone on this team. In fact, he said, clear your mind of the mistake. And when I come to pit road this weekend, I want you to jump off this wall and be fearless. Dave Burns?
Lately for Kyle Busch, Pocono Raceway has been two-faced. He's coaxed a lot of speed out of his race car, but 2 of his last 3 finishes have been disasters. Kyle's got a real shot at his first Pocono win today. He starts on the front row. Dr. Jerry Punch?
With 6 victories here, including this race a year ago, Jeff Gordon is the winningest driver in Pocono Raceway history. Now, right now, he's currently locked in a very tight battle just to get in the chase, so a win today would be huge. Yeah, I know what you're saying, folks. He starts 22nd today, but last year when he won it here, he started 27th. Here's Jamie Little.
Well, Kurt Busch and the 78 team have turned a lot of heads this year. They've done everything but win. Now, I talked to crew chief Todd Barrier, and he told me the only way they're going to win, they must improve in 2 areas. They must get better in traffic on the track, and they must get better on pit road. Now, speaking of pit road, let's check in with our over-the-wall reporter, Mark Hollywood Armstrong. Hey, Hollywood, what's the key for the pit crews today?
Jamie, the key today is going to be adjustments with the cars not being on the track since Friday. Look for these teams on this first caution, on the lap 20 competition caution. Look for these crews to be working on the cars, making a lot of adjustments. Maybe some don't need a lot of adjustments. But one thing's for sure, these guys are going to go head-to-head with each other and try to beat each other off of pit road. And me, well, I get to be right down here in the middle of it, guys.
Hollywood, thanks. Have a safe race. Mark mentioned it. Lap 20 competition caution because of the rain washing out practice yesterday. Giant 2.5-mile track, 400 miles means 160 laps. Jimmy Johnson chooses the outside lane for the start. Trouble. Cars around and stacked up into the wall. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Juan Pablo Montoya, and Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, it looked like the 42 might have got into Ricky Stenhouse in that 17 car.
Yeah, it looked like they were funneling down into turn 1. Not sure if Ricky came down or whether Juan Pablo went up and got to the left rear, but definitely turned him around.
Yeah, as I watched them fan out and go down, we talked about the start and restart.
Everything's destroyed.
400-mile race that you could show a little bit more patience down into that first corner.
Montoya has a lot of damage as well.
Stenhouse started 17th. Montoya started 19th. Matt Kenseth started 24th.
Saw Montoya really go to the inside here early. After he crosses his start-finish line, look at him jump out then. He's getting a big push there. Of course, they're fanned out 3, 4 wide, at least getting down in here. Let's see if Montoya slips up or if Stenhouse comes down. Yeah. Racing.
We're definitely fighting over real estate.
And certainly Montoya is not down on the yellow line, but he didn't have any extra room there either. Carrying a lot of speed down in there, even though they're just getting through the gears and up to speed.
Watch how much damage this 17 takes, how quickly.
Kenseth is going to have a lot of damage to his left front, which is obviously very critical at these high-speed tracks.
There is Kenseth, Dave.
Looks can be deceiving, but it doesn't look too bad right now. The crew not extremely excited about it. They got parts and pieces ready, but you can see where the front fascia joins the front fender. It's crimped up there, so they're going to take a good hard look at it here and make several stops. Jamie?
And Chris Heroy, the crew chief for Juan Pablo Montoya, said, let's try to work on it in the pit box. You see substantial damage in the front end. They had a lot of body work to back it up and fix it. Right front fender, left front fender, the splitter is severely damaged. it's going to take quite a bit of time for them to work on this, and I'm sure, Alan, they're going to be in quite a few more times.
Yeah, what a mess. So, turn 1, lap 1, 3-car incident, which results in pretty significant damage to all three. The most severely damaged, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who has driven his car to the garage to have the back end of it rebuilt. Green flag, restart at Pocono. See if they can make it more than one corner.
It's just hard to resist the urge and that temptation that somebody's leaving a spot open down there. You just have to be so careful getting down into that corner. It's like they might make it through this time.
Denny Hamlin, a little flare out to the inside. Trying to get 2 for 1.
Looks like he might get it done, too. He'll have the preferred line getting into 3.
Clint Boyer to the bottom, 3 wide in the 15.
See, Hamlin's still not able to clear Marcus Ambrose, though. They're still gripping that outside lane, and you can actually keep that inside car down a little bit and keep him from getting a big run off the corner.
This for 7th place on back.
Right there where that 9 car of Ambrose went in that corner, that is kind of the preferred line into 1 now.
Ambrose does a good job to hold him off.
Kevin Harvick 29, Joey Logano 22 for 9th place with company.
So hard, so many things going on down that, you go down that back straightaway, we'll call it, into the tunnel turn. And you can see there where McMurray in the 1 thought about jumping out and trying to pass Harvick. So Harvick's sitting there in a situation, he's trying to figure out a way to get by the car in front as we see Boyer take the spot away. But you're also getting ready to downshift. You're going in there at a high rate of speed at 200 miles per hour. So drivers have a lot going on there, and the spotters are a long way from that to try to help you.
The Busch brothers trade 2nd place. Well, maybe not.
Well, they do trade it. They're trading it back again now.
As long as they're playing nice together.
I'm sure Kurt's probably thinking, come on, brother.
On the back stretch there.
You know, hey, this time of the race, you could have let me have that spot. We didn't need to race down here into the tunnel turn now.
So Kyle hangs on to 2nd. Kurt 3rd. You saw Juan Pablo Montoya coming off the pit lane after another pit stop just after the restart. And back in the garage area, Jamie's with Ricky Stenhouse.
Extensive damage on all 4 corners of this race car, including a broken track bar. Any chance you guys will get back out, Ricky?
Yeah, we got a great race crew on this Zest Ford Fusion, so they're working hard getting it cleaned back up, and we'll get back out there. Luckily, we had nationwide insurance on it. it's not looking too good, but we'll get back out there. Looks like the 42 just ran straight in and forgot to turn or forgot we were going left. I'm not sure. Seems like he forgets a lot these days. So we'll get back out there and we'll remember that one for sure.
He won't forget anytime soon, Alan.
Little marker added to the chart.
Yeah, that and no, the young man, Ricky Stenhouse, in his first full year in the Cup Series, he's needing time, in the seat to learn more about this racing and this racetrack where he hadn't done a lot of racing. So that's what's devastating to him, is that to happen early on. And even if he gets back out there, it won't be a learning situation because his car won't be up to speed.
And you saw he didn't get many laps of practice here on Friday. Got into the wall a little bit, and they had to stop and repair the car. And so his practice time already was limited by the incident in the Friday practice session. As you look at some of this spread out and in line, I'm just thinking back to those opening laps, and we talked about the lack of give and take both on the initial start and the restarts, and we talked about the urgency of restarts. I guess these guys are really feeling the urgency to get everything you can as fast as you can.
There's a lot of pressure in that garage area to make the chase. You see all these guys that are on the bubble. There is a lot of pressure down there, and everybody feels it, and I'm sure the drivers are feeling it too. Hamlin
in 11th place. Jamie McMurray's got some passengers there.
That is, yeah, I believe he's got picked up something there at on the front end. It could be restricting a lot of airflow.
While we watch the one, let's check in on the 11 car with Vince.
Well, Denny Hamlin started this race 9th, and of course it's been well documented. He slipped back a couple of spots, but well documented the issues that they have had this season. Too many to mention, so maybe the ears are a little sensitive for Denny. He doesn't like what he hears early on.
Darian, one thing I noticed on the acceleration here, when I shifted through the gears, it was okay, and then all of a sudden it felt like it hits nitrous at a certain RPM. I tried to pay attention this time around, but had one kind of harmonics, and then all of a sudden it zinged up by itself.
Maybe pose that to our crew chief, Andy Petrie in the booth. A little too sensitive, or is that something to worry about, Andy?
Well, anytime a driver comes on with something like that, it makes you think, and I just don't really know what to make of that. It sounds like he has some kind of a vibration or instability in the drive line that clears up at a certain RPM that gives him that feeling. You see Jamie McMurray had to make that pit stop to get that debris off of the grill. Looks like it may have come from Montoya's car.
Isn't that crazy, from his teammate?
Yeah,
that's where it would be from.
That's where it works most of the time.
Dave?
It is indeed. It's red tape, and that's what they just pulled off the front of the car, so that's what they had to get rid of. He was complaining about the temperatures. They said 290 is the limit. It was over that. Another problem for him, Jamie said the car's been popping out of second gear when he was under caution, so watch for that as well.
Yeah, I was looking at that stuff on the nose of that one car, and I'm thinking, okay, that looks like red tape. Well, who's had a lot of red tape put on their car? Well, his teammate Montoya had, and some of it obviously came off as Montoya got back up to speed. 2 Kozlowski, 5 Kane, 24 Gordon, all fighting for 12th position, well behind Jimmy Johnson, who has set sail from pole position. Caution has just come out for the second time today here at Pocono Raceway. Denny Hamlin running in 12th position, crashed in turn number 3. You see he's driven his car back into the garage area, but is none too happy about it.
Everybody just trying to get to that competition caution coming in 20 laps. You see Denny Hamlin right here basically just gets out from under him.
Yeah, it looked like that he's just, you could see the back end out just a little bit when he was entering the corner. You try to carry a lot of speed there. Once it starts stepping out with these cars, you're carrying so much speed, you just don't really have a chance to catch them.
Looked like he just got sideways as soon as he went for third gear.
Yeah, that's a late shift right there, what I would think going into that corner. You generally want to do that just as you enter the corner. So I don't know if that could not have maybe got the RPMs matched up, and it could have wheel hopped just a little bit right at that point.
So Hamlin in the garage, and the caution, the second one of the race, will serve as the competition caution that was coming at lap 20 because of the rain out of Saturday practice. So we'll see everybody on pit road here. Watch for many 2-tire stops on this caution.
Yeah, especially now. They've cut this to 15 laps instead of 20, so it'll be a one-can stop for most teams. I would expect most of them to get 2 tires.
Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, Greg Biffle.
Actually had Jimmy stay out right there. That was something else as an option. You don't have to pit during that competition caution.
Interesting call there. Jamie?
And Ryan Newman says he just needs a little bit of grip in 2 and 3. Right side tires and a wedge adjustment is the call. He had to watch his RPMs because the lights on his dash are wrong. You saw the adjustment there in the right rear. The winner 1 week ago. Car's pretty good, Doc.
Half around right rear for Greg Biffle. He said a little bit free entering 3, but got a 4-wheel slide, tight on exit. He's down and away. AB.
Now those that pitted about all went for just right side tires. 5 cars did not pit, actually a couple more than the 5, but 5 of the lead lap cars did not pit there, including Jimmy Johnson. Interesting call by Chad Knaus to make sure the 48 kept his track position. Yellow out for Denny Hamlin, and trouble in turn number 3. Denny Hamlin watching the repairs on his car and trying to explain what happened to Darian Grubb. Hamlin in the garage after the crash at lap 14 that put us under caution for a second time in this race. Green flag, variety of pit strategies. Watch a little racing here, then we'll recap them. That's Ambrose down low, 4 wide. I wasn't sure they were all going to make it through those 3 quarters.
They weren't either, but yeah, I've talked to a number of drivers yesterday that were talking about, probably more of them said that they felt like that the track had lost even more grip from the time they were here in June, what time they got on Friday. Others were saying they thought because of the cool temperatures that it was about okay, but it seemed to be, to me, the drivers that I talked with more that said it was losing some grip, that they were expecting with the sun out today, even the temperature's cooler, that it was going to be a slicker racetrack.
Yeah, the key thing, though, you saw the pit strategy that was employed by the 48 and some others up front. The tire doesn't fall off a lot of speed, so they're able to stay out there on tires that have some laps on them and still maintain a good amount of speed. And I think what you're seeing there is these top 4 or 5 that did stay out, they can make that next pit stop under green and not lose a lap, similar to a road course, which makes that a really good strategy for them. The key, though, for the guys that are behind Jimmie Johnson is to try to stay within about 10 to 15 seconds of him, because once you lose touch and get about 15 seconds back, you cannot make that pit stop without losing a lap.
2 or 3 drivers I'm watching that seem to have really good race cars moving forward. 5 of Casey Kane.
Whoa. Sorry, DJ. Matt Kenseth, David Rudiman. Nice save by Rudy.
That was a good save. I was saying Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, and Tony Stewart look like they have really good race cars here. Tony Stewart, one of those that was hoping it was going to be slick today.
So now that this is sorted out just for a second, 6 drivers did not pit under the caution. Jimmie Johnson, Kyle Busch, Casey Mears, Brad Keselowski, Paul Menard, Mark Martin. Most everyone else took right sides only. Greg Biffle was first out. He restarted 7th. Jeff Burton was the first driver that changed 4 tires on the pit stop. He restarted 30th. So there you go.
We've seen a 2-car. He was one of those that stayed out too. Brad Keselowski, they've been saying they've had some speed in this car. They wanted to do something. I think that's a good move on their part to get some track position here early, and it does look like they have a good race car.
Yeah, it was an excellent move by Paul Wolfe to take this track position. And I talked to some of the guys on the crew, and the reason that they're so optimistic this week is because they've got some new things that they learned since Indianapolis last week that's making their car faster, and that they feel like they're going to have a definite improvement in performance here today.
Working the fans, working the shifter, working the brakes, and the pit crew's working the strategy too, Vince.
Well, and particularly on that 2-car, the pit crew has been an issue for this team throughout the course of this season. They've made some changes for today. 3 pit crew members in different positions, or positions unique to where they were within the last couple of weeks. As far as the race car for Keselowski is concerned, pretty good. In fact, he says the only issue, a little loose on entry in turn 3, but everywhere else, it's solid.
That's where we saw Denny Hamlin get in trouble, is on that entry in turn 3. That's a flat corner, and it is kind of tricky, especially with these guys the way they're shifting, actually downshifting, getting into that corner.
Yeah, it's always been a tricky corner, and one that you seem to be a little bit on the loose side getting in, but especially with the speeds that we see in these race cars.
Yeah, you can see right there, Brad Keselowski did not shift down going into that corner. So he's actually in kind of maybe a fuel-saving mode.
Brad starting the race 13th in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship, looking to make a similar run to last year, where after Indianapolis, he went on a tear, propelled himself eventually to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship.
Yeah, and this is we know this is a strong team. They started out the season strong. It's always difficult to back up everything that you did the year before, especially when you have an outstanding season. but they made, there's a lot of changes new to them with the new manufacturer and the car being different. So a lot of things new to them. But we've also seen them try to take some strategies this year and employ those, and they didn't really have the speed in their car to be doing that kind of thing. And I think that it's got them in a little bit of trouble there. Now I would say in these next 6, we'll see them be a little more on the conservative side of that, making sure they get as many points as they can.
I like the way Paul Wolf thinks out of the box.
Oh, yeah.
He makes a lot of these different strategies that you never even thought of, makes it work. But without speed in your race car, it sometimes makes that impossible to work.
So Keselowski working Kyle Busch to try and get second spot away. And they've been working on Denny Hamlin's car back in the garage.
And he's out of the car. Denny, what did you feel from the car before you got into the wall?
Well, I mean, it was, our car was a handful. Tried to fight through it to that competition caution, but I was getting run over from behind and just holding up traffic and just let off in the corner, and it just breaks loose. It's what we've been fighting really the last 7 weeks or so. Just cannot get into the corner, and our cars have been a handful. I know how to drive this racetrack, and we just have not, just not hit on what it takes, here these last couple months to get our speed where it needed to be, and we were struggling again today.
And your day is officially done.
Yep.
All right, Denny Hamlin, 4th DNF this year, Alan.
And Jamie, at this point in their season, no sense in putting Denny back out there in a patched-together race car.
You see Brad Keselowski still trying to take this second spot away from Kyle Busch. A lot of things that they're doing to these cars to get speed as the 2 car does take over that second spot makes these cars drive worse, and drivers are having to adapt, and then they're having to work with the drivers to, once they find that speed, then try to adapt back and get a little bit of more comfort in the car for the driver's sake, so that they're not in situations like that. We know Denny Hamlin, I mean, his record speaks for itself at this racetrack, but just makes it difficult.
Ryan Newman, the Indy winner, 39, working on a spot from Casey Mears in the 13.
Casey Mears, one of those that stayed out, did not make a pit stop.
And Newman's crew had a little bit of problem on the right front, even though they just took 2 tires, where they were spot on last week with all of their stuff. They had a little problem, so it set him back. But same race cars last week, and they've got plenty of time to get it back to the front.
And 8th place, changing hands. Casey came in the 5 by Kevin Harvick in the 29.
What, I've seen that 5 car go wherever he wants to go and make passes so far. Just riding on board with Kevin Harvick, you can see there Casey Kane. But I've seen him on the outside of cars. I've seen him go through the middle of the racetrack and be right here on the bottom when he needs to. This is a fast car here.
Yeah, I like that move he made right there. You can see that car really pointing down to the bottom of the racetrack without getting loose. And that's a sign of a good race car.
Before the pit stops, Kevin Harvick had been moving up, now slipping back a little bit, Doc.
Yeah, he complained the car was really loose, Alan. So loose in turn 2. They've made an air change in the right rear and a track bar change. And Kevin just said a moment ago that nothing worked. It did not get tighter. If anything has gotten looser, he said, guys, we really got to tighten this up. I got my hands full out here right now.
Yeah, and sometimes you just put those 2 tires on there. You're not exactly sure how that's going to react. So now they're in a question of, okay, was it the tires or the adjustments?
Yeah.
But you can see him fighting it.
Yeah. So Harvick hanging in 9th position at the moment. Jimmy Johnson has led all of the laps so far, but not yet made a pit stop. We'll see the fast 48 on the pit lane very shortly. We are about 75 miles into today's GoBowling.com 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series here at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Green flag pit stops would be beginning for the cars who didn't stop yet, but Kevin Harvick's back in. He stopped just a little while ago, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look at the left rear. They're going to go make a major chassis adjustment. 4 tires for Kevin Harvick. You heard him say he had to tighten the car up. The adjustment they made before with the track bar didn't do much. So Gil Martin calling for 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Get it full of Sunoco fuel. He's down and away for a 4-tire stop.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a team and a driver right there not wanting to make a mistake and compound their issues. Come on in, get this done, and we'll take and do what we need to do and hope for the best will work out.
So watching Jimmy Johnson and waiting for the race leader to make his first pit stop of this race. No pit stops tonight in the O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Northwest Nationals. The Western Swing continuing out in Seattle. Final eliminations tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. And next weekend, we'll keep the gear shifting going with some right-hand turns thrown in as both the NASCAR Nationwide Series and NASCAR Sprint Cup Series go road racing at Watkins Glen. Saturday, 2 Eastern on ABC for the nationwide event. Sunday at noon Eastern for the Sprint Cup race on ESPN. Remember that last lap fight with Marcos Ambrose and Brad Keselowski a year ago?
What a last lap that was.
We can only hope for something similar. Johnson, Keselowski, the lap car of Harvick.
Yeah, you see Harvick was just far enough back in that running order when he made a stop that he did lose a lap. I think Jimmy Johnson will be able to make his stop without losing a lap and get back out on the racetrack, but a lot of these guys will go a lap down.
Good look back through the top 20 here. And beginning to see some moves to the pit lane. Both Casey Mears and Mark Martin are in. Doc?
Mark Martin did not pit on lap 16, stayed out even with a loose race car. Restarted 5th, came on the pit road running in 17th, dropped like a rock. The car was just so sideways. Going to be 4 tires, air pressure adjustment. Got to get full of Sunoco fuel. Mark Martin, a 7-time runner-up here, has yet to win at Pocono.
And there is Mears leaving the pit lane as well. Johnson, Keselowski, and Menard, along with Kyle Busch, the others who did not pit yet in the race. So how about a little 4-wide action back in the pack?
Yeah, this is pretty exciting, I believe. Saw this start at 3-wide, and then another car, Danica, comes out of nowhere, uses the draft, and she's going to come out in front of this whole group. Nice move right there.
Yeah.
Martin Truex in 56 struggling right now.
That's why we love Pocono. That kind of stuff.
This time. Okay.
A long way.
Yep. We saw him saving fuel on the pace laps, shutting that car off when we were checking our onboard cameras. So Brad Keselowski goes by to lead a lap for a championship bonus point, while Johnson, the leader, pits. Kyle Busch following him in. Dave?
Kyle had fallen back to 4th with a very loose race car. He'll get it full of Sunoco fuel. They will make a chassis adjustment. It'll be a track bar adjustment. They will lower it. Vince?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson says it's just a little too tight off of 2. Doesn't feel like the right rear is in the track like he needs it, and a little too free off turn 3. It's a 4-tire change and a chassis adjustment for the 48.
Watching for Keselowski to see if he's going to head to the pit lane this time, and indeed he will.
That's a good move by Keselowski to get those 5 points, get on pit road, just kind of stay in sync.
Switches all the way down here. More tires here, nice and easy.
There he is, Vince.
Pit stops have been an issue for this team this season. They've made an adjustment in their right rear carrier and rear changer for this week, and they're hoping for better stops. They say that's been one of their biggest issues throughout the course of this season, so keep an eye on that today. Keselowski says a little too free on entry early, but it's been getting better. 4 tires for Brad.
It's a decent stop for Brad. Did I say points? He'll get a point for leading.
Always valuable when you're trying to get in the chase, for sure. You know, you never know what it may take.
Especially for that team. They're sitting right on the ball.
Hate it when those flashbacks happen, huh?
I mean, you do something for so long, hard to get out of here.
Yeah, exactly, you know? Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart did stop under the lap 16 caution.
I think these are 2 drivers and teams that were affected differently by yesterday's rain out of practice. I think it didn't bother Tony Stewart at all. I think they were very happy with what they had here the first time and the way they ran last week at Indy. On the other side of that, Carl Edwards and his team have shown speed in qualifying. That has not translated over recently to being able to keep that speed up in track position during the races.
So this is a race for 5th and 6th place. Kurt Busch the leader, Casey Kane second, Joey Logano third, Jeff Gordon fourth, and then this, Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski are running 25th and 29th, but are on the lead lap at this point. So, alternating pit stop schedules. Jimmy Johnson dominating early, but Kurt Busch leading now here at Pocono. Now the opening 100 miles of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Pocono, subtitled Things That Go Bump in the Day. Then a little bit of bumping and a little bit of bent sheet metal in a couple of different incidents.
Yeah, you have to keep those emotions under control to start.
Denny Hamlin with a solo shot into the turn 3 wall, since we were talking baseball. Hamlin out of the race. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s team repairing his car. And more green flag pit stops happening here. Jamie?
Carl Edwards started this race third. The car's been loose since the beginning. Track bar down to help that. 4 tires. Good stop. Doc?
31 car, Jeff Burton said he thought he had a better race car than what they qualified with, but the race began and they have been, to quote Jeff, way loose. Major adjustment. 4 tires. Burton is away.
Looking at the 9 of Marcus Ambrose, he's been fighting loose throughout the course of the day. They made a chassis adjustment going to 4 fresh Goodyears and Sunoco fuel. They got to get him snugged up. He said it's been wrecking loose. Dave?
Snugged up as well for Casey Kane. Turn 1 is a little bit tight, but everywhere else he is loose. Sunoco fuel, 4 tires, track bar, and air pressure adjustment. Jamie?
Todd Berrier said the only way they're going to win with this 78 team is to get better on their pit stops. The car has been loose. It was 4 tires, 13.9. Nice job. The 39 of Brian Newman said those last changes tighten them up a little bit. Air pressure adjustment and track bar, 4 tires, Vince.
Tony Stewart been running well here this weekend and certainly was good here in June. Says he's happy with the car now, just needs it to cut the center better. 4 tires and air pressure.
Remember, Ryan Newman's lights on his tachometer not working right, so he's got to be very careful.
Our tag's off or something then, because I really did not, I didn't speed.
That's Carl Edwards serving a pass-through penalty for speeding entering pit road.
Yeah, they made a change in second gear ratio since the last race up here. We heard Ryan Newman's team say that they had marked his dash wrong because of that change, and that may have been what got Carl Edwards in trouble.
Have we ever heard a driver ever say, yeah, I wasn't?
No, there is that.
Just check. We've heard some fleet on their children. Here's Jeff Gordon.
Absolutely. Jeff Gordon started 22nd, gained 10 spots the first 10 laps, comes on the pit road, running in second spot. Said the car not as tight under throttle, right rear chassis adjustment, 4 tires, away 13.2 seconds.
Hollywood getting it done. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the leader, not yet having stopped. Here he is to the entrance of the pit road. Championship bonus point for Jr. in that oh-so-tight fight for places in the chase. Jamie?
And loose off at turn 2 has been the main complaint for Dale Jr. in the 88. They had some major issues here on Friday. Changed everything that rotated, including the drive shaft and transmission, and it didn't fix the problem. Well, they looked at some things this morning, and he has not mentioned a shake. Great stop, 12.3, 4-tire stop for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, those vibrations can be very aggravating. Sometimes you can change everything and it's still there, and then all of a sudden it goes away and you don't know why.
Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, the only 2 that haven't stopped yet in this cycle, if you will, and then the lead will go back to Jimmy Johnson. Remember, Kenseth involved in the crash at lap number 1 and made a few different pit stops there to see that big black patch on the left front fender of that 20 car. And then Jamie McMurray made the unscheduled stop at lap 11 with the overheating when he picked up the tape of the bear bond off of, we think, his teammate Juan Pablo Montoya's repaired car.
Truex, who has been on pit road, even though he's been struggling with this car some here today, he wanted to get by there, get back on the lead lap.
Interesting to see this 56 and how they fared today, because Martin said this race would determine whether they made the chase or not. Their chassis approach to here.
all indications so far, he might hope that's not the case.
Yeah, so that's going to be your race for the lead after a couple more pit stops. Brad Keselowski has tracked Jimmy Johnson down. He was 2 seconds behind him after the pit stops.
Yeah, like I said, they were very confident this morning in the garage on how this car was going to run. Got to be encouraged by this.
I know some people questioned, and it always is a question about Brad going to Iowa, racing last night. Only 6 races left to the chase. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing like any kind of confidence in a win. I don't care what you're racing, and he went over and won that race. Has to be a good psychological move for him and that race team.
Here's Matt Kenseth in, Dave.
Little wedge adjustment for him, Alan. Loose in the tunnel turn, actually wedged both sides, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. The main thing they did on those many stops early was to make sure the splitter was off the racetrack. As Matt raced it, he said it was, and so no further adjustments as far as that goes.
So now Jamie McMurray, the leader, and this the race for the lead once McMurray stops. After his speeding penalty in the pass-through, Carl Edwards finds himself well back in the field. And more on that in a minute. First, McMurray's in from the lead, Dave.
Loose in the middle, tied off the corner. A very typical statement from drivers here and on all ovals, try or otherwise. 4 tires, wedge adjustment for Jamie, and he'll be gone.
Pass-through speeding penalty, Matt Kenseth too fast exiting. Carl Edwards is in 25th place, but on the lead lap after his pass-through penalty. Now Kenseth will be serving a little pass-through here. Jeff Gordon, Joey Logano for 6th place.
Yeah, I said this morning on NASCAR Now that I thought Jeff Gordon would have a solid day, looking at people there kind of on that bubble, and he was just inside the top 10, but always a good racetrack for Jeff Gordon here.
So as we run the 48th lap of this race, the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson has led 35 of them and is out front, though being hotly pursued by Brad Keselowski. We invite you to visit Chevy.com and learn about the all-new Chevy Silverado, strong for all the roads ahead. The road has belonged to Jimmy Johnson so far today here at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. There is the race for the lead at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Jimmy Johnson leading Brad Keselowski by 0.6 of a second after a just completed round of green flag pit stops. Taking a peek back to Jeff Gordon in 6th place as we give you unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with NASCAR Mobile 13 and unlimited talk, text, and data on the Sprint Network. Jeff Gordon, the biggest mover today. The 6-time Pocono winner started back in 22nd place. You see he's up to 6th. He got 2 of them at once in that lap.
Yeah, I can tell you how he's doing. He's doing the fast car. He had the fastest lap the last couple of laps. I think whatever they did on that last pit stop was definitely in the right direction.
Get unlimited access to NASCAR with the NASCAR Mobile 13 app. Join the family with the unlimited My Way plan, guaranteed for life only from Sprint. See sprint.com/speed for details. Trouble in turn 2. David Gilliland has hit the wall.
See a little bit of fire under the car. It does a good job to get it stopped and get out. Fire looks like it's going out.
That has to look one of those, right front.
Yeah, it looks like it could have.
First into the wall crashes.
I just got a glimpse of that right before he hit the wall. It looked like it took a right-hand turn.
Unless something came out from underneath the hood first and sent him up that way.
Like he set off the fire extinguisher before exiting. It was a lap down in 32nd when that happened.
Well, glad to see David's out of the car and okay. That's a hard hit in turn 2 when you get that wall that way.
See, he just took a right-hand turn. don't see any fluid coming out. I have a feeling it was probably a tire failure or ran over something. I think the fire was because of what happened after the impact.
So David out of the car. Well, there's a lot of fluid coming out of it now.
I mean, possibly.
Might have been some fire extinguisher.
Yeah, but he actually could have had some other failure there. It's really hard to tell from the replays we saw.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I mean, because of the angle of the hit, it doesn't look as much like a right front blowing out at that time, something like that. It's just maybe something came out from under and he couldn't steer it, and then once he got up out of the groove, there's no grip there to get into the wall.
Tough place on engines, downshifting going into that corner. Something didn't go quite right.
There's some more strategy being played here. Jimmy Johnson's in, Jeff Gordon stayed out, looked like. Dave?
Well, Kyle Busch is going the wrong way. He said it, car starts awesome, but it just doesn't have the turn it needs by the end of the run. So they're going to come in and make a chassis adjustment, 4 tires. Jamie?
And Kurt Busch, the call was right sides only. Been great on pit road today, saying a little snug in the center, loose off. Vince?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson's a little snug through the center of turn 1, but his biggest concern, and this is a concern they're going to go after on this stop, is just 2 free off of turn 3. So it's a chassis adjustment and 4 tires for Jimmy Johnson in the 48.
That's how the guys who pitted fared. But 2, 4, 6, 8, I've got 10. Did not stop. 11 did not stop, including Brad Keselowski, who will become the new leader of this race. The strategy shuffle continues here at Pocono today as we work caution number 3 of this race. David Gilliland's afternoon came up shy of the finish and a little bit warmer than conditions might normally require.
Back at Pocono Raceway, also known as everyone's favorite scaling triangle, we're 55 laps complete with pit strategy playing a very interesting role in this one. Now, right now, Brad Keselowski is out front. He did not stop. Jimmy Johnson did. Inside the ESPN Quicken Loans pit studio with Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty, and Ray Ironham, I'm Nicole Briscoe. What do we think of the strategies we've seen playing out so far?
Well, this is one of the tracks that you can pit before the caution comes out. It's big enough that you can get in, get out. The guys that are up front are going on their fuel window. They're thinking about fuel and how many stops they want to get in and stay out ahead of the caution.
One thing I'm seeing right now, guys, they've had enough caution laps. They have enough running on the racetrack right now to get these cars tuned up real good. Remember, they only had a limited amount of practice. Drivers are really nervous about that, but right now they're far enough into the race, Brad, that I feel like they're starting to get a handle on it.
They're starting to get a handle on that. What they're not getting a handle on, though, is pit road. We've seen a couple drivers struggle just getting in, but we've had 3 pit road speeding penalties so far. Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, and Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, these guys made some serious mistakes, obviously, by getting caught speeding on pit road on and off. So you've got to do a better job. You got to pay attention. Track position is so important here. If you lose it due to a penalty, it's very hard to get back.
You know who has track position right now? Brad Keselowski. What are they thinking down there, Vince?
He does have track position, some different strategies at play. Paul, what were your thoughts on staying out there?
Well, we decided coming into the race we're going to run our own race, or run our own fuel windows if our car had enough speed in it. And so far, the Reds Apple cars seem to have good speed. It seems like there's a group, about 5 cars that are pretty quick. We feel like we're in that group, and we're going to continue to run our fuel windows here the rest of the day and see what we get.
Thanks, Paul. Alan?
Vince, thanks. Coming to the green for the restart with Paul's driver, Brad Keselowski, as the leader. Race fans, think you know something about speed? Buckle your seatbelt and play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge. Text FAST to 34763 and predict who'll have the fastest times in today's race. Brought to you by the nation's fastest 4G LTE network, AT&T. Rethink possible. I'll give you a good candidate for that and somebody to watch on this restart. The man who's dominated the race so far today, Jimmy Johnson, who finds himself 14th in line. Kurt Busch first off pit road to his inside with just 2 tires, though, and here we go.
Jimmy Johnson opting to put himself in the middle going down into turn 1. He might be with this fast of a race car in this type situation. Will he let things get strung out? I guess that answered that quickly.
For the lead, Casey Kane 5, inside of Keselowski 2.
first time we've seen this 5-car up with any track position today. But what we've been watching him come up through traffic extremely fast.
There's a side-by-side lap all the way around 2.5 miles.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Jeff Gordon trying to find a way through.
I'll tell you what, it's impressive to watch that 5-car be down on the inside where a lot of people have struggled aerodynamically and trying to get back to the throttle and have enough speed up out of the corner to make a pass.
Jeff Gordon's right there, too. It's like Keselowski not giving up, though.
See how fast that 5-car went through the center of the corner, though, and then back to the throttle.
Yeah, he's handling down the straightaways pretty good.
Jeff Gordon with a good run on Keselowski here.
Every driver, I think, has a place that when things aren't going exactly like you want them, you're looking forward to going to that spot. And Jeff Gordon's spot, he has a lot of places he could say that about, but I think Pocono would be right at the top of that list.
6-time winner here at Pocono, Jeff Gordon. And boy, with the bigger picture of his season, could he use a breakthrough win here today?
And sitting here, he started this day out in 10th spot. And with 5 DNFs on the season, just incredible. They find themselves even a part of being there in the top 10 right now.
Now, talk about Jimmy Johnson being back 14th in line on the restart. Being back in that kind of traffic, Jimmy said the other day in his press conference here, will completely change the handling of your race car, make it feel like a totally different machine. Well, he had some busy hands here a second ago.
Outside, 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 inside, looking. Outside's clear, clear, clear. 18 inside, inside.
Wow, he was real busy in there.
Well, that's one thing that you never want to hear as a driver, inside and outside. That's not good.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, the setup in this 48 is obviously fast. He was out front leading. Not quite as good in traffic as he was when he was out front. But I have to believe that Chad Canals knows they're inside of a pit window to make that pit stop when he did. And I think it will work out for him if he stays out of trouble. The other teams like Brad Keselowski, I don't think that they were inside of a pit window. Jimmy should still only have to pit 2 more times, and I think you'll see that same thing for some of the cars that pitted with him. But you'll see an extra pit stop by the 2-car.
So, Andy, for folks that are new to NASCAR, this pit strategy today being played like a road course. You count backwards from the finish, and it opens up to do that because if you're one of those lead cars, you can make a green flag pit stop here without losing a lap.
Yeah, and that works on a road course for almost the field because they can stay, like you said, make that pit stop and get back on the track without losing a lap. Here, it's not quite as big of a no-brainer because you have to stay within about 10 to 12 seconds of the lead to be able to make the stop and get back out without going down a lap.
Yeah, and we heard another key point that Paul Wolf made just a minute ago. This week, they have the speed in their race car to make this type of strategy work, where they've been trying to do that at some other places and just didn't quite have everything that Brad needed in the race car to make that strategy work out. Here today, I think they're on a good track with speed in the car and a good strategy involved.
So Keselowski racing for second with Jeff Gordon while Casey Kane is out in front. He joined us in the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio during NASCAR Countdown and had a pretty good bit of confidence in his ability to get it done today here at Pocono. Past performance does not indicate future results, but Kane has won here at Pocono before. A little bit past 150 miles of today's GoBowling.com 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Casey Kane is out in front, one of 8 different leaders who've traded the lead 9 times. That's a little deceiving because of green flag pit stops. Really, Jimmy Johnson dominated the opening 100 miles of this race. But after getting shuffled back to 14th in line for the most recent restart by pit strategy, he pitted when a lot of the cars in front of him didn't. Jimmy's only passed 2 cars. One you saw right there, Kurt Busch, and the other because Casey Mears pitted under green a second ago.
He's struggling with the handling, certainly, of this race car a little bit more than what we saw whenever he was out front, and probably we expect that somewhat, but we expect so many good things out of this 48. What's going on with him, Vince?
Well, Chad Knaus admitted to Jimmy, he said that didn't play out the way we anticipated. They expected many more cars to come to pit lane. The problem with the fact that now they are back in traffic is that, as you guys well know, cars that handle well at the front of the field, often when you get deep in traffic in front of or behind other cars, they don't handle nearly as well, and that's what Jimmie Johnson's experiencing right now.
I think it's one of the things, too, with this setup. These cars with these crazy setups do not handle well in traffic. They need that clean air. Here comes Keselowski down pit road. Vince?
Yeah, Brad says that the car has been handling really well over the tunnel, but has not been handling to his liking down into turn 1. So they're going to make a chassis adjustment. It's going to be a 4-tire change for Brad Keselowski. As you guys have noted, they feel like they've had the speed today, and the balance has been pretty good. They're just tweaking on it and giving him a clean tear off, a good view out the front.
So Brad and Casey Kane on an alternate pit stop schedule from Jimmie Johnson and a lot of the others. So we'll expect to see Kane come down the pit lane soon. That car behind Kane, the neon one, Paul Menard, just on and off pit road on a green flag stop. This for 8th place, Jeff Burton and Jimmie Johnson.
Talking to Jeff Burton yesterday, he was pretty excited about his chances. Obviously disappointed in what happened to them last week. I will tell you that he was very complimentary, though, of all the safety features that NASCAR has implemented in the car, because they broke that drive shaft. He didn't know exactly, what created all of that situation, but everything that NASCAR has done to make that a safer issue, he said it tore up a lot of stuff there, but it really never endangered him, and he was very complimentary of that.
Yeah, I spent some time with Luke Lambert. He said it was a very violent explosion, and when that drive shaft failed, these things are turning almost 10,000 RPM, so when that drive shaft flies out, that's how fast it's spinning. And it did a lot of damage. They had to replace almost all of the running gear, but I said, how was Jeff? He said he was fine. He said that all that stuff inside the car did its job.
Jeff was telling me that, of course, with the Hans device, you really can't look down very far and see anything. He said, but when he got into the garage area, knowing they were going to have to tell you, he said, I took my helmet off in Hans device. I looked over there and the floorboards torn up and everything. He said, then I realized just how bad that was. And he said, that's when I appreciated that effort.
Joey Logano, green flag stop, Vince.
Yeah, he's been fighting turn 3 much of the afternoon today, and he, on that last run, said that it was good for a while, but then it starts to fall off pretty quickly again. So changes for the 22 of Logano, chassis adjustment, 4 tires, air pressure, and a clean tear off for Logano as they continue to work just over 14 seconds.
Now, because of the way the cautions fell in the early part of the race and people choosing to pit and not pit, these green flag pit stops are going to seem almost continuous for this next little while, including the race leader who's in now, Dave.
Casey Kane was last on pit road on lap 42. He will pit this time for 4 tires and no changes. They asked him how the car was. He said, pretty good. That sounds good to me.
And here's Jeff Gordon back in. They're going to make another adjustment. It's the same they've done the first 2 times. 1 round up on the right rear track bar. Car a little bit snug. Right side tires, left side tires. Jeff Gordon has a very good race car like what he's got. Dave.
Engine of Clint Boyer still a little bit loose. They made a dent in it that time, so just a little adjustment this time. Air pressure for the 15 of Clint Boyer.
You heard Jeff Gordon stall just for the second when he went to leave his pit box.
Yeah, good for him, though. It fired right back up. Probably not going to cost him very little time.
Here's your leader, Ryan Newman. Remember, his tachometer readings are not valid. His team told him that earlier, so he has to be very careful on his pit stops.
15. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And he's watching the RPM gauge, making sure he does not speed. They brought the same car that won 1 week ago at the Brickyard in Indianapolis. That wasn't the plan, but the car was that good. Ryan said he snugged up a bit, but no adjustments. 4 tires, they waited on fuel. Doc?
Greg Biffle now in a fuel window can make it on 2 more stops. He said the car just has no grip. There's the chassis adjustment in the right rear. 4 tires. They've taken the shim out of the left front last time and a rubber in the left rear. The car still has no grip. Way, way loose. Biffle away.
So that cycles the guys who didn't pit on the lap 54 caution through pit lane. and puts Jimmy Johnson back in the lead. That's going to be another, if we don't see the yellow, 10 or 11 laps before we would see Johnson on the pit road for his green flag stop.
Yeah, and this is where the strategy works. You know, even way back we talked about how bad his car was in traffic. Now he has the clean air, and if this thing goes green, this strategy will work for him, it looks like. Doc?
Car 31, Jeff Burton coming in for his scheduled stop. And of course now, based on fuel mileage, they can all make it 31 or so laps. They should be good for 2 more stops. Right side tires going on. Jeff Burton talked about the scare he had at Indianapolis last week early on with the exploding drive shaft. So left side tires on, he is down and away. Martin Truex now getting left side tires on his car. What a great run he had at Indy last week. From the back of the field to an 11th place finish, but he's got his hands full here. He said the car is just, to use his terms, ugly today.
No, that's not a good report. Not if you're a Truex fan.
Yeah, Truex fan, and if you're Martin Truex and this race team trying to secure a spot in the chase. They do have that victory on their side, though.
Kyle Busch in, Dave.
And it's a little bit early for him, but crew chief Dave Rogers said, hey, you want to do something gutsy? And Kyle said, if you can do something to help me win the race, yeah. So, 2-tire, right side, and gone.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, that was interesting there. You don't see many 2-tire green flag stops anymore, that's for sure.
They short pitted from their window. They got just rights, topped off the fuel. Let's think about that.
Let's think that one.
Jimmy Johnson is the race leader. Back live at Pocono, the race leader's in trouble. Jimmy Johnson with the right front tire down and damage to the right side of his car while leading this race just shy of halfway.
0 speed.
You know, when these cars don't handle as well, we talked about it, looked like Jimmy was struggling with his car. You'll use some more brake.
Is out. All right, we're going to need a hood flap.
Caution for debris.
Get him in here to get these tires changed. The tires changed, get it back on track. We got to try to stay on the lap. Entering 3. Go ahead, you're clear.
Going to have some more work to do on that 48 car, but let's go back and take a look at what happened to Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, you can see right here, I mean, just look at the right front. You see it blow out right before he got to that corner.
And just blew that flap that's there to let the air pressure out from under the hood if the car spins around backwards, right off the car.
Wow. A hard lick, too.
That is a hard lick, but there are worse places that you can lose a right front tire for sure.
It was good, 52.49. Clear. To the wall.
That almost has the look of running over something, and that tire exploding like that.
I was just thinking that's right where David Gilliland hit a little while ago. So, the fastest car for much of this race is now damaged, though still on the lead lap at this point.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of damage, though. They're going to have to address.
How's she driving there, buddy?
The steering wheel's kind of straight, but when I turn into the corner, it pushes real bad once it loads up.
Yeah, I think they got some big control arms and a lot of things they're going to have to work on.
1/8 inch of packer in the right front. 1/8 inch of packer in the right front.
So the yellow flag out and pit road open here for lead lap cars. There are 28 of them. Tony Stewart, the leader. Kurt Busch had made a green flag pit stop from the lead just before the caution came out. Doc?
Mark Martin coming down pit road, left top of your screen, not finished his lap 54. So the balance of the car is good, but the brakes are a bit of an issue. They're going to remove some tapes in the grill and change 4 tires. Below them, Kevin Harvick. Kevin said, I got it in the back of the 51 on the restart. Water temperature going up. Got to take some tape off the grill to get the temperature down. Vince.
Tony Stewart, upper right-hand portion of your screen. He says it's just tight to the center off of turn 2. 4 tire change for Tony and fuel. Danica Patrick likes her car. No changes other than just a little tight through 1, but they made no adjustments.
So you see Bobby Labonte just off the pit lane with the right side tires, first of this group. But these people just coming off the pit lane are going to be well back in traffic because almost everybody that made a green flag pit stop just before that caution stayed on the speedway here. Well, the stunning turn of events here at Pocono as the race's dominant car, driven by Jimmy Johnson, finds itself on the pit lane being repaired after slamming the wall exiting turn number 2. But something went wrong under the right front of the car, perhaps a cut down right front tire. And after leading 43 of 78 laps, Jimmy Johnson and company turned to salvage mode. 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Jimmy Johnson has led 43 of the 80 laps in this race, but has got a damaged car after a right front problem exiting the second quarter, and they're still working on it, Vince.
They are indeed. A lot of right front fender repair. They put a packer in the right front, also had to repair the hood. You see they're still addressing that right now as Ron Malik is under the car. Hey, they sent Jimmy out and they said, see how it drives. And when he went out under yellow, he said, it just feels like I got to put a lot of wheel in it to turn. So they brought him in, checked the toe. And really right now, Chad Knaus wants to know from Jimmy Johnson, are we making it better? How is it driving? Can you drive it once you get out there and get up to speed? Work in progress for the 48.
Yeah, you get a chance to see. He'll be able to enter the corner at a fairly high rate of speed right now. He can kind of see how this car is going to handle and give Chad some feedback if they need to work on it some more. And I have a feeling they're going to have to work on it some more.
Yeah, I think the things that are going to be their problems are things we can't see.
So Vince is on the Jimmy Johnson story for us, and they're still cleaning up from the 4th caution today at the GoBowling.com 400. Check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Watch all the live race coverage from Pocono with 10 HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboard. We are coming to the restart at Pocono Raceway, just past halfway in today's race with Casey Kane, the leader, and Brad Keselowski to his inside. There are 31 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth got the free pass under the caution flag. Wave arounds to the lead lap, David Stremme and David Reagan. Jimmy Johnson hit it again while we were away in the break. He's lead lap, 28th place. Brad Keselowski to the race lead, though just warned by NASCAR over the race control radio to not lay back on the restarts.
I think he did a nice job of laying back there a little bit and anticipating, though. He got him a good jump.
There's that restart zone that the leader has the prerogative to go in between the orange cones.
Yeah, that was a little iffy. You see a lot of games being played lately, though, on these restarts.
Yeah, I think that right there is okay. I mean, the second place car, which Brad was, Case Kane chose the outside, they're in a tough spot to start with, so I didn't mind that at all right there, and Brad used it to perfection.
Asking us not to lay back there in those restarts. I know the 24 was laying back on you. You didn't have any choice. You're doing good here, man.
As they would say on NASCAR's race control channel, message delivered, car 2. A lot of conversation about Brad Keselowski and his team in these last couple of weeks. Were they going to take off and skyrocket in this late summer stretch, or would they fade and not be in position to try and contend to repeat their championship?
Another team and driver that has kind of liked this to kind of be their springboard here at Pocono, where they've had a lot of success and kind of set them on their way. I don't think he's going to be able to keep his 5 car behind him very long.
Yeah, he got a big run off turn 1 there, didn't he, Casey?
Fast.
Yeah, they've made a pit stop since the last time they were racing for the lead, so they may have made Brad's car a little bit better. Looks like that maybe they have.
Almirola, 43, picking up a spot on McMurray 1, who was able to squeeze Kurt Busch off in that 78.
I talked to Eric Almirola at Indy last week, and he was talking about what a great test they had here. He was excited to come back here with his race car and things that they had learned. Running inside the top 10 right now.
Up to the 8th place in that 43. Gordon, Logano, Junior.
Yeah, Junior's been solid all day. You know, we haven't said much about him, but he's just been kind of solid there and looking at all the different pit stop and the cycles and strategies that are going on. But Junior's been right there and very solid. Not the fastest car, but in a good spot here once again.
And I'll tell you somebody not to overlook at Pocono, but Joey Logano in that 22, right? This track, statistically, one of his best. He does have a win here. And when Joey was asked earlier this week if he thought they still had a chance to make the chase on points or if it was all about just wins at this point, he said, no, we've got a good stretch of tracks coming up, starting with Sunday. And they're 35 points out of the top 10. He said, we made that up earlier in this season already.
Yeah, in fewer amount of races than the 6 that they have to do it in now. So, you know, they had a good, solid top 10 last week at Indy, and he knows that's all they really have to do as we see this battle for a lead once again. But if they can string together 6 or 7, counting last week, top 10s, he feels very strong, and I think so, too, that he'll end up in the top 10.
See Brad doing a good job of holding off Casey Kane, and he's doing it I think for a good reason, because he needs to keep that clean air on the nose of his car to have it running like it is. And the longer he can keep Casey Kane behind him, I think the better off he'll be.
And isn't it fascinating around this three-cornered racetrack with the corners all of different banking and different radii? Would that be the right word? I'll look that up. How one car can be stronger in one end of the racetrack and another at another spot. Kane seems to gain on Keselowski through turn 1, but Brad seems to earn that gap back across turn 2.
If you can do that, then you've got a good chance of not allowing them to get to you when you get over to turn 3 and then come off of there for the long front straightaway. So if I was going to have my car good, I always felt that if I could get through the tunnel and then my car was going to be pretty good in 3, and that's where the driver really has to do his part too. But I felt like that was going to benefit me more than having it better in turn 1 and give up some. These guys here have been racing like crazy. They're doing their best to have some contact back here at high speeds.
That's 8th place on back. Clint Boyer, 15, just up into the number 8 spot. Actually, check that. That's from 10th place on back. They've given up a couple positions. Ambrose in the 9, also tested here at Pocono.
Yeah, Tony Stewart, see, trying to recover from that pit road speeding penalty that he got that sent him back, I believe, to about 28th spot earlier on, but trying to make his way forward here.
And then, off sequence on the pit stops, when the caution came out, Stewart was the leader and hadn't pitted yet. Back to that road course pit thing. That put him back at the end of the line for the restart by the guys that had stopped under green and all stayed out.
Yeah, struggling a little more with his car, though, at times than what I really expected. I thought he would be pretty solid here. Definitely well up in the top 10 most of the day.
Got a run on him there off turn 2. Kane did. David Reagan's 34 just ahead. Last car on the lead lap in 30th place. That one to Kane by a fender.
That's been a photo finish, wouldn't it?
I think Casey's going to definitely have the advantage here, getting into turn 1.
Yeah, we've seen him make this pass a couple of times down at the very bottom of the racetrack. Brad not giving him much room, though, there, which is a veteran move and what we expect from him. But you see Casey's car just so strong down the bottom.
I danced around a little bit, though, on that lap. Just like Keselowski got on that right rear and made his car just a little bit loose. Able to hold the lead.
Yeah, he made it a little bit loose, and then you get across up against him down the straightaway, not touching, but you feel like if you're that inside car where he does that, it's like you put the brakes on.
Ryan Newman by Kyle Busch, right side of the screen for 6th place.
That was good work there by Brad Keselowski. I think that he probably learned things there, even though we still have 70 laps to go in this race. That's things that you put in your memory bank for later on, because he probably anticipates having to beat this 5 car when it comes time to win.
Yeah, and earlier, the last set of tires they had on, Brad really didn't have much for Casey Kane. Casey easily passed him. This time it looks like they're 2 cars better, and just able, I still think the 5 car's better, but he's able to hold him back there.
So the defending NASCAR Sprint Cup champs, Brad Keselowski and Paul Wolfe, along with Penske Racing, are leading today here at Pocono in search of their first win of the season. Who'd have thought that, the way they ended the year last year? New leader at Pocono, Casey Kane, after about a 10-lap fight with Brad Keselowski, has squeezed by the 2 and very quickly run away after he got by. There's the gap, 1st to 2nd, and here's the pass. About 2.5 minutes ago. Got the big run off turn 1.
Yeah, very similar to what we saw earlier. No lap car involved this time. Watch Casey Kane do a great job here. Not over driving down into the tunnel turn. You can see he's under control right there. Watch him get back in the gas and make this pass.
Brad was trying to set up the crossover, but nothing doing there. And Casey Kane is your new leader as we check fresh off the wire. Served by KFC, Jimmy Johnson. Led, dominated the opening 100 miles, 150 miles of this race. Currently back in traffic after the blown tire and shot into the wall off turn number 2. Denny Hamlin involved in the crash. And Casey Kane has taken over the
Caution's out, caution's out.
And there's another one that has
Wind
a
getting into one.
look. David Stremme into the wall, right front down.
I'm sure this is concerning a lot of teams. We heard a little chatter on the radio about Keselowski. He thought maybe he was abusing his right front. I think once he lost the lead, he backed off a little bit.
David Stremme running in 30th position, had taken a wave around to get back on the lead lap at that last caution. So was out there on older tires when this happened.
So he knew he had a problem real early in the straightaway and did a good job of getting the car right up, getting next to the wall, entering the corner.
By the way, just going back, we did go and check with David Gilliland and the 38 team. It was right front down that caused the crash on that 38 car. So that, Jimmy Johnson, and now potentially that with David Stremme, has got to have a lot of crew chiefs scratching their heads.
Yeah, it does. We haven't seen that many tire problems here since the repave.
No, and this is the same tire they've run since the repave.
One thing that happens when you don't see a lot of failures and as a crew chief, you try to maybe push the tire a little bit more, ask a little more of it, sometimes with camber and other things.
Yeah, generally, there's not a problem with the tire. It's a problem.
Hey, it's what we do to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, leaders here. Remember, we've got that whole great variety of pit stop schedules going on. Keselowski pitted under green at 68. Kane pitted under green at 71. There were some that pitted under caution at 78. Now this should bring them all in together here, right?
Yeah, I think they will. I think all of them will come and get reset here and try to make it on one more pit stop.
Think we'll see some 2-tire stops here?
Absolutely. Dave.
You'll get one from the leader. Watch the fuel man. He will shake his head when that car is full of fuel. That will be the signal for crew chief to call Casey gone. He'll wait, and there he goes, Doc.
Jeff Gordon will get 2 right side tires around right rear. Car just a bit tight. Vince.
The 2 of Brad. 4 tires. He said that's just tighter this run, so they're going to take a bigger swing at it to free him up. The 22 of Joey Logano says it feels like it's a 4-wheel drift off the turns. 4 tires for the 22 of Logano as well. An air pressure adjustment for Joey, and it's a race off pit road.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, Keselowski gave up quite a few spots to get those 4 tires.
Yeah, he and his teammate, Joey Logano, both getting tires, losing some spots.
So, another strategy shuffle there on the pit lane with Casey Kane's team having that first stall at pit entry and making the first call, or one of the first stalls at pit entry. So as we work one lap away from the restart here at Pocono, with now Martin Truex Jr., the race leader for the moment. Tires have become a story on the day today. You saw David Gilliland, there you see Jimmy Johnson, and now David Stremme, all appearing to suffer problems on the right front that put them into the wall and brought out the caution flag. For more on that story, we check in downstairs with Vince.
Well, just spoke with a couple of Goodyear officials on the items that you talked about. The right front of that 38 was cut by a hose, and then as far as the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, that right front had lost air through the bead area, but it was not due to the brake heat. So Jimmy had asked Chad Knaus, is there something that I've done wrong or that we're doing wrong that's causing the right front issue? They explained to him that that was not their understanding. They just came back in, continued their repairs on the 48. But Jimmy Johnson, credit his crew. They've done a great job, has been able to stay on the lead lap.
That's very unusual to lose any air from the bead without having brake heat problems. So I'm not sure what they mean by that.
Now Casey Kane with right side tires on his pit stop, running second, Dave.
We'll check in with Kenny Francis about that. Right side tires for you. How confident are you about your Goodyear rubber and about your fuel mileage to the end?
I think the tires will be in good shape. The mileage, we're kind of right on the number there, so that was kind of a bad time for the caution to come out for everyone. But, hopefully we'll get this thing home and end up with a good finish out of it, so we'll see what happens.
One of the few cars that's been able to pass anywhere in the pack today, Alan, and they should be able to make it on one more stop is what we're referring to.
Dave, thanks. We'll have 61 laps to go on this restart. Martin Truex Jr. is the leader, did not pit under this caution, only lead lap car to not stop. First car with 4 tires changed on that pit stop. Brad Keselowski, 15th place.
Been seeing it. Last 2 restarts, the 5-car, Casey Kane, hasn't been very good on that initial part from when they start getting out into turn 1. He's pretty good after that, though.
Better get the whip out here. 3 wide for second place.
Been a while since we've seen Kyle Busch up there in the front. After running second for a good portion of the first part of the race, made some adjustments, got him back pretty speedy.
And remember the call by Dave Rogers for just the 2 tires and top off the fuel with the short pitting strategy before.
I saw Clinton Boyer have a moment there down in 3. Big wiggle probably cost him a couple of spots down the front straightaway.
Tony Stewart.
Tell you what, I've watched Danica some today. She's really done a nice job in her quest to be up and race a lot throughout the day. And I've seen her make some quality passes. She's getting passed right here, but I just saw her on the restart be pretty aggressive. Some other times that she's really done a nice job throughout the day. And it's just been impressive to see her come back here and after she had a race. So, Vince, what are they saying about this car?
DJ, it's all about getting Danica comfortable, and once she feels like she's got some stability in the car, her confidence grows, and she's mentioned a couple of times today that she is confident. As you see on the right side of your screen, Kane and Brad Keselowski, Danica on the left side of your screen, right in the middle of that pack. She says the car is getting better, she's getting more confident, and she plans on getting a little more aggressive with it.
See Kane's taking over the second spot there from Kyle Busch, but I've been saying for a while, a lot of discussion about Danica, and I'll wrap this up, but I said, when this Stewart-Haas team, none of the cars were very good for everybody. If they've made these cars better, she's showing improvement too. You can't do it. I don't care who you are. If your car isn't performing and you're not comfortable in it, you have a hard time driving it and being aggressive.
In a big knot here with Matt Kenseth, Casey Mears, there's A.J. Allmendinger.
Like the 43 might have a tire problem right there.
Yep, left rear. Left rear. Caution for the debris and the spin.
Roll when you
almost
can.
caught it. Yeah, you have to wonder if that came from
Line
contact
turn
somewhere
3,
along the
left
way.
rear quarter.
Somebody getting into that left rear tire.
Timmy Hill also looping around in the jam up from Almirola spinning. So sixth caution of the race has flown with now 58 laps to go.
Probably helps some of those people that were concerned about making it on fuel here.
Kenny Francis said that Kane was right on the number.
Right here is Eric Almirola. You'll see him. Left rear tire's already down. He knows it. He's trying to chase it. Almost saved it.
Yeah, I think he felt this. You can see Tim Hill right there running on some cars and then spin his car. But I think he knew this going over the tunnel.
So Almirola is around and has continued on and off the pit lane. He was 19th at the time of his spin in turn number 3.
I have to say I was impressed with Martin Truex Jr. being able to hold on to the lead out there. We haven't seen speed out of this car this weekend. On the other side of that, we haven't seen him have track position to really show any speed, and these cars get out front, they're a little different, and the driver rack's a little different, so nice to see him.
Yeah, for a few laps. I think he's going to be disappointed about how his car's going to act here when he makes his pit stop. He's going to have to pit real soon for fuel, and that's going to put him way back. But his car did look good in clean air.
He's presumably in a window now to make it on one more stop. Do you bring him in under the yellow, or do you wait till the green and then bring him in?
Are you going to give up track position either way? I think I probably wouldn't. If I could make it now, I'd probably bring him in.
He might be kind of lonely on the pit lane.
Yeah, I think he'd be real lonely.
30 cars on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson, by the way, pitting already before the pit lane is open under this yellow for more work to be done to repair that 48 car.
Yeah, his car's not driving very well. They're just trying to do things to make it a little bit better.
One thing this does for Casey Kane, we heard Kenny Francis say they were real close on their window. And these caution laps definitely helping him.
Big day for Truex, he said, coming into this race. Let's see what they're able to make out of it here. But still got a long way to go. Still 56 laps of racing at this giant 2.5-mile track. Truex, like I said, going to be kind of lonely on the pit lane. He got more company coming up there in the background, Doc, but as far as the leaders are concerned, he was kind of lonely.
Yeah, give a call to Chad Johnson, the crew chief. They're going to make a chassis adjustment here, but the car had been so free and so sideways. You heard me characterize it using his own words. He said the car was ugly. Well, they have made the car so much better. It's actually a little bit tight now. Right side tires, left side tires going on, taking their time to get it completely full of fuel. They will have to make at least one more stop to make it. 4 tires, he's down and away.
Probably going to put him back about 23rd in line for this restart for Martin Truex Jr. Reminder, coverage of Major League Baseball coming up tonight at 8 Eastern. National League East matchup, Chase Utley and the Phillies hosting Freddie Freeman and the division-leading Braves. Then tomorrow at 7, Adrian Gonzalez and the Dodgers looking to keep rolling when they visit Carlos Beltran and the Cardinals. Both games live on Watch ESPN, Sunday and Monday Night Baseball coming up. Back for the restart.
There have been a few issues for several drivers out there today. Not the case for Casey Kane and Kyle Busch because they are currently running first and second, but it was not a good day for Denny Hamlin, who has been so good here. Just not today.
Oh, yeah, not today. He got into the very last turn, turn 3, downshifted, and about the same time the car broke loose, he crashed the wall, tore that thing to a million pieces.
On the other hand, Casey Kane been very good, but tires, not so good. We had said something earlier about durability being an issue. We maybe should have put tires on our list.
Yeah, we saw David Gilliland, same thing happened to him. Eric Almirola, Jimmy Johnson, guys all losing these right front tires. Actually, Eric had a right rear tire going down, but getting into the wall with these just a lot of pressure on these tires. Really got to pay attention to that tire wear throughout the run.
Yeah, that was the left rear tire.
Left rear tire.
For Eric Almirola. Let's take a look at the danger zone brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. We're under our 6th caution of the day for 24 laps. We've had 6 crashes with 9 cars. We said earlier that Hamlin is out, and we've seen 4 cars with blown tires.
Yeah, we saw a crash early, maybe a little bit too early to be racing that hard on the first lap, but then these cautions that are being caused by the tires are putting debris on the racetrack, and I think that's adding to some of the tires that we're seeing. At these high speeds, you don't need much of a cut in that tire to cause a problem. We've seen right side tires, but we've also seen left side tires.
Left rear.
So that's telling me it could be a debris issue.
54 to go, and the crew chief at the end of our table has said many times, what are they thinking? How many more times is that going to happen in the final 54 laps?
Thinking, get your calculators out. You know, the split pitch strategy is pretty funny, but it is easy to sit up here and second guess. Not as easy as sitting down there in that box.
I can hear the engines revving up, so let's go upstairs to Alan.
Nicole, thanks. Here we go. Casey Kane back in the lead. There's the Pocono fan out. Here comes the funnel down for turn 1. Kurt Busch, 78 on the move by his brother Kyle in the 18 and Hunt in the lead.
Yeah, we've been talking about Kurt Busch and this team having a chance to win one of these races. They keep putting themselves in that spot. Pit crew doing a great job for him today, keeping him up front.
And no sooner do I say bye his brother than Kyle gets that spot back for the run down to turn 2.
They've seen that a couple of times between those two. The younger brother's not played along the way the older brother wants.
David Ruderman kicked up out of the groove, keeps it off the wall. We stay green. But that slip causing a big mess back in traffic. Look at this. Right there, that Napa logoed car, Martin Truex Jr., remember, the leader at the caution flag, restarted 24th.
I was probably saying about now, where'd that car go that I had a while ago? Yeah. Doesn't handle quite as good back there.
Bottom of the body there as well, 47. And here comes Ruderman again in that 83.
To see, watch Casey Kane's will watch lap times here. I think he'll get out and get himself a little bit of a lead here, and then we'll probably see him maybe slow down just a little bit, enough to stay out front and save as much fuel as he can here.
Yeah, that's the advantage of having a car as good as he's had today, that he can do that. He has the lead, the clean air. He can back off, still make decent lap times, but save a lot of fuel. Jeff Gordon, you see coming in the picture, restarted 7th, made a nice move on that restart to get a couple of spots.
Yeah, watch Greg Biffle pull down like he was going to try to block him, but that was 24 was coming way too fast for that to happen.
And just in front of Jeff, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 88, running 4th. Solid, steady all day. Not spectacular, not up leading a lot of laps, but right there.
He's close to being spectacular, though. He's maintaining the country.
Oh, trouble.
Stay right there. You're all good.
Travis Kvapil, Danica Patrick, Jeff Burton. And a caution flag.
A lot of torque cars right there. Burton's destroyed on the right side.
Come on down, see what we can do here. Anything leaking, Brandon? Not that I can tell yet.
Wow, a lot of damage on Menard's car. And everyone is driven away except Jeff Burton.
Jeff had a good race car. They pitted back 2 cautions ago late to put more fuel in that car, got him back in this pack.
This was 17th, 18th, and on back where this all happened.
Yeah, it looks like Danica got caught down on the inside trying to make a pass.
All right, let's go to the garage here.
You can see right here, she's just inside. It's like Travis Quapple.
Vulnerable spot to be in, but she's had good car control all day, but looked like got a little bit loose and up into the car, and then nowhere to go for Menard. Jeff Burton, see Martin Truex just trying to slide by. Might have had to go through some grass there, but looked like he did a good job of avoiding that. Jeff Burton was almost by that and just got enough of it to turn him into the wall.
That second corner is a tough place to run side by side through.
Yeah, always been a tough place, and you lose, especially that inside car loses so much air on it.
Yeah, you see how frustrated Jeff Burton is after having a decent car, getting knocked out.
2 weeks in a row. You know, he really thought they'd gotten themselves in a position to maybe drive up into the top 10 in the points, but obviously last week put him out of that position, and then have a decent car here today and have it taken away.
And Jeff was 20th in the championship starting the day. So a DNF here, if he wins a race in these next several, you know, might not do him any good. So trouble in turn 2. I told you it wouldn't be the last time I said that today. Jeff Burton's on the hook. Back at Pocono with the GoBowling.com 400. Inviting you to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. And a little bit of a messy day here at Pocono as we're under the 7th caution of what has been a fairly action-packed 400-mile race. Time for unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with NASCAR Mobile 13 and unlimited talk, text, and data on the Sprint Network. A lot of lead changes today. Been competitive. We had some different pit stop cycles going, and of course not being hurt by the fact that the dominant car of the first half of the race was involved in a crash. Get unlimited access to NASCAR with the NASCAR Mobile 13 app. Join the family with the unlimited My Way plan, guaranteed for life and only from Sprint. See sprint.com/speed for details. Some of the drivers involved in this 7th caution have made their way back to the garage. Jamie?
And Danica Patrick, the first one back here and out of your car. We showed you there in commercial. We showed you the replay. What did you see, Danica?
Well, you know, these cars rely on side force, and so when someone's on the outside of you, it always makes you a little bit looser. I didn't feel like I went in any more hero-like in that time, but we were tight in the race, and so we had freed it up a little bit, and it was better. But then, you know, they're just, yeah, you know, when they're outside of you, you just get loose. So just chased it up, and it spun around, and unfortunately it ends the day for the GoDaddy car, and it was a good day, you know. You have to, you know, for me, I have to sit out there and I have to sit in my car and say, today's going good. If it's a top 20, it's a good day for me. So, you know, that's what was happening, and unfortunately we won't come away with that, but we were better off today than we've been a lot of other days, so that's about all there is to say.
She was running 18th at the time of the incident. Alan?
Hi, Jamie, and efforting a word with Jeff Burton as well back in the garage. Tony Gibson, the crew chief. Greg Zipadelli heads the competition department at Stewart Haas Racing, all there.
Definitely some positives to take away from it. I think she did have a better run today going.
Yeah, got to have that encouragement. A lot of good things.
Still some debris being cleaned up out on the racetrack here at Pocono. And so we remain under caution. There you see. Oil dry. Vacuuming it back up. Just trying to look. We had 6 cautions in the June race here. Only 3 in this race last August, though that race was rain shortened. And we check with Doc.
Yeah, Jeff Burton's been checked out to be okay and very frustrated. Jeff, what happened?
They just got together in front of me, and I didn't see them wrecking. I just, you know, by the time I got there, they were wrecked, and you know, it's just kind of how years gone. We, you know, we had a good car today, but we just kept getting in trouble and kept getting ourselves out of track position. And when you're in the back of the pack like that, you know, you're more likely to have things happen. And we were, you know, I thought we had about a top 7 or 8 car, and then we had one run we weren't so good, and we lost our track position, and then we went 3 wide into the tunnel and got the quarter panel tore up. Had to fix that, and that just kept putting us further and further back. So just kind of the way our year's gone.
Luke Lambert said you're going to try to get the car back out. You think you guys can get back on the track?
I think it hit a little harder than they think it did, but that's okay. I like their effort, and I really like this race team. I really do. I think we're making huge strides. We just can't seem to get over the bubble of having all this stuff happen, but we will not quit. I can guarantee you that.
2 weeks in a row, horrible luck for Jeff Burton, but they are going to try to repair the car, at least getting back out for a few laps if possible, guys.
Thank you, Alex and Jeff.
Doc, thanks. Jeff, as always, addressing it professionally, but that picture says a lot of his frustration at the situation. Coming to the restart with just over 100 miles to go at Pocono Raceway, and Casey Kane leading. 28 cars on the lead lap. Eric Almirola the free pass, and the green flag back in the air.
Carl Edwards losing a lot of spots there. Ryan Newman meant to take those couple of spots he got, though. He was ready for that restart. Not finished taking spots.
Tony Stewart 3 wide to turn 2.
Both of them getting by, well, not quite yet. Junior's still fighting on the outside, but in a bad spot on that restart.
Yeah, Tony got in position there, though. He had to back out, slow down. Now you can see his cautioning spots again.
I've talked about how aggressive you must be on restarts in NASCAR Sprint Cup racing these days. How about Ryan Newman? What did he get, 4 in turn 1 in that last lap?
He got 4 in turn 1 and then passed Biffle down the back straight, or going down into turn 2. So nice restart for the Brickyard 400 winner.
I love watching Ryan Newman's in-car. He really worked hard in that car. Just get up on top of that wheel.
It's a lot of work here at this racetrack now as a driver. You know, I raced here when we shifted back earlier, but they're shifting in all 3 corners now to make speed out of these race cars. That just adds one more element of being smooth and getting the job done. But it's a full day's work. I mean, we're talking about right here going well over 200 miles per hour down into turn 1. You're on the brake, now you got to shift.
Match the RPMs, don't wheel hop it.
Yeah.
Rusty talked earlier about it was going to be nearly 1,000 gear changes in the course of these 400 miles.
Man, you're right. Ryan Newman gets it done. I mean, he goes every lap like this all the time. And, you know, we saw it pay off for him with a huge win last week. You know, this week, yeah, they would love to have a second victory, but a solid run gets them closer to that 10th spot once again with a victory in hand. So these guys know what they have to do, and Newman getting the job done.
Newman started the day 16th in the championship, 1 spot outside of a wild card position in the race to the chase. Casey Kane has gotten away from Kyle Busch in this whole race from second on back. And here's Brad Keselowski leading the race earlier, shuffled back by pit strategy to 15th place. He's only made it back to 13th place. How does Paul Wolfe get this guy some track position for the end of this race?
That's a good question. We saw Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals do the same thing after dominating, get back in traffic, can't pass anybody. They're going to have to find some way to do that, and the only way that's possible could be for them to take 2 tires on the mix and last pit stop. But the problem with that is it's going to take a lot of fuel when they make that stop. They're going to have to put about 12 seconds of fuel in it, 11, 12 seconds. So they may gain a little bit by getting 2 tires.
You got to tell me how hard it is to pass. I mean, you got tires right there.
Really hard to pass them on 2, especially after they've cycled and cooled off. I feel like they're back to where I'm at. The actual stickers, I feel like I could pass with, yes, but only if I didn't get a yellow to cool them back off.
Heat cycles on tires, factoring into the handling of that 2 car as well. Just more data for Paul Wolfe, the crew chief, to have to make a decision on. The Busch brothers have raced together just about all day. Now Kurt, 78, getting by Kyle in the 18.
In fact, Junior's car is pretty strong at this point, too.
Yeah, it's probably the best that I've seen this 88 car look today. He's been up in there a lot, but as far as having speed and the handling, it looks like Junior's well on his way to a solid top 5 and possibly an opportunity to win as he takes his 3rd spot away from Kyle Busch. And back to Keselowski just a minute, that was the only reason I didn't question the 4 tires earlier. Is a lot of people, they got 2. I thought they could pass some people and then take 2 on their last pit stop and gain that track position back that they were giving up there.
But he's only picked up 2 spots.
That's the problem.
To 13.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Look at the gap Casey Kane has put on 2nd place. Kane is one of those drivers in the danger zone, if you will, where making the chase is concerned. Hard to believe with the win he had earlier this season, but Casey 9th in points. And only a little bit, like 1 to the good of being inside that top 10. A win today would be huge. We're inside the final 100 miles here at Pocono Raceway, setting up for a final round of pit stops. Remembering that last Sunday at Indianapolis, the lead changed on the final round of pit stops. And we're closing in now on that point where we'll begin to see these front runners drift toward the pit lane.
Yeah, Casey Kane said he needed a little bit more cushion. Those caution laps, 14 laps of caution, will definitely help them get inside that window and possibly get them where they can pit with about 30 to go.
And Carl Edwards, just like last Sunday in Indianapolis, when he got shuffled from 2nd to 13th on a restart and never made up any of those spots, he got shuffled on that last restart, and he's still slipping back.
Yeah, and you know the thing I've seen with this team, they've had a lot of speed with their car, but as these tracks rubber up, they just don't seem to be keeping up with the track as much with them. 22 and 2, I have to think they're going to be looking at 2 tires, and by having those caution laps, I think that benefits them in that respect of not having to sit there and wait on fuel for too long because they won't have as many laps. So be interesting to see what they're able to do.
See, Carl Edwards started up in 3rd position today, but again, just like in Indy last Sunday, he finds himself running in 13th. Look at the gap Casey Kane has put on Kurt Busch since he got away on that restart. You get the feeling that the MO on this run was get as much of a gap on 2nd place as you can for that last green flag pit stop to have a cushion.
Yeah, I think once they got those laps under caution in the bank where they were good, then they just kind of let their man go, say get all you can get.
To either verify or disprove my theory, I introduced Dave Burns.
Kenny Francis told the driver to get as big a gap as you can on 2nd place. Here's the reason. 71 was the lap when they last took left side tires. That means if they only took rights this time, they'd be asking 89 laps out of them. That's a lot. I expect they might be taking 4. Alan?
Yeah, you can see Kenny Francis over there. He's got his hands on his bill of his hat. He's contemplating this stop. He knows they need to get 4, and they probably will. And look at that. They've got a 5-second gap. They should be able to get those extra 2 tires and not lose the lead.
You're Kenny Francis for a minute. You're the race leader. It's Pocono. You can pit without losing a lap under green. As soon as you get in your window, do you call him in?
I want to make sure I got a little cushion, though, because if green-white checkers could add some laps to this thing, I want to make sure I've got some of that covered because I got a great car today, and I don't want to give it away.
Riding with Jeff Gordon while he tries to get 3rd spot away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Here's the first move to pit road, Dave.
He was also taking lefts for the last time on lap 71, so he'll have to get him along with the rights this time. That is Clint Boyer. The car's still just a bit tight in the tunnel turn. They'll make adjustments for that.
Now, knowing Brian Patty like I do, that was a move to try and steal some track position in case the caution were to come out between now and the finish.
Yeah, he needs to get out in front of the leader, Casey Kane.
Yeah, because I'd have to say they're right on their limit of being able to make it with that Toyota.
Better get going in a hurry because there goes Casey by him.
Yep, so that strategy won't work, at least for now, until the 5 car makes a pit stop.
No, and I think back to Kenny Francis, this 5 car for a minute, talking about getting 4 tires or 2 and having that lead. But they've got the cars that are directly behind them for the next 5 or 6 spots that I believe we're going to have to take 4 tires also because they only took 2 the last time. So I think, when we get back to who had 4 tires, you go all the way back there to close to 10th place with the Logano.
Keselowski's in, Vince.
Brad Keselowski's had one of the better cars today, led 14 laps, but he's pitting from 11th. Remember, they came in and took 4 tires before. He says the car is good, the balance is good in clean air, but it's very hard to pass in traffic. Right sides only for Brad Keselowski.
Here comes Kane from the race lead, Dave.
Alan, it will be 4 for the 5. His car, again, just a little bit tight in one end of the, actually 2 and 3 are good, 1 is a little bit tight. They'll get just a half a round of wedge up on the left rear jack bolt. 4 tires for Kane. It was bad here in June earlier when they raced. It's great for him today so far, Jamie.
And his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying he's pretty free everywhere, but not too free. So the car's gotten better as the day has gone on, as they move around to the left side. 4-tire call. They'll fill him up with Sunoco fuel. Let's go to the 18 and Dave.
Kyle Busch said there is no front steer on exit. He last put lefts on lap 54, so there was no question they'd put 4 on. Kyle's gone.
Kevin Harvick's in, Doc.
Kevin Harvick, right side tires only for Harvick. They roll the dice, right side air pressure change for Harvick, who was loose entering 3.
Kurt Busch now the leader and heading to pit road, along with Jeff Gordon and Ryan Newman. Remember, that last set of pit stops at Indianapolis changed the outcome of the race. We'll see what today's brings. Jamie?
And Todd Berrier told me before this race, if they want any chance at winning a race with Kurt Busch, they've got to be better on pit road. These guys have nailed it today. They've gained him positions on pit road each time, but this is the last stop that they anticipate. They've got to nail this one. 4 tires, fill them up with fuel. A little bit longer, the longest one all day. 2 seconds longer, Doc.
Jeff Gordon, 4 tires and I'm tight in traffic. No adjustments. He's down and away. Great final pit stop. 13.3 for Gordon's crew.
Mark Martin, Jamie McMurray, Craig Biffle, Tony Stewart, Joey Logano, Marcos Ambrose, all on and off the pit lane here.
One of the best stops I saw was from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team. They had a sub 12-second pit stop. He might come out with some track position here.
Here's your leader, Truex, coming in. By the way, with those speeding penalties we saw earlier today, now's not the time for one of those.
Certainly not, for sure. Never a good time, but this would be a terrible time. Doc?
2 weeks in a row, Martin Truex and his company have had incredible comebacks. Indy from the back to finish 11th today. A terrible race car to a pretty good race car. Truex wants a little wedge out to help keep the car from being tight up off the corner. 10.4 seconds. He's down.
So looking at Almirola, the leader, who stopped under the caution for the crash with Danica and Jeff Burton and Travis Kvapil, so he can go another 10 laps or so before he'll have to stop. Remember, he got the free pass under that last caution. Then you'll have Bobby Labonte, Dave Blaney, Jimmy Johnson, David Reagan, and J.J. Yaley before you get back around to Casey Kane. Almirola in, Labonte and Johnson in. Dave Blaney is now the leader of this race. Go ahead, Doc.
Right side tires for Eric Almirola. Chassis adjustment. Remember, he had the cut left rear tire, damaged fender. No quit on this team. Todd Parrott says, I've won it twice here with Dale Jarrett as my driver. We're not going to quit. We can get a good finish. Vince, Jimmy Johnson.
Well, it's been a struggle for Jimmy Johnson all afternoon since he blew that right front tire and got into the wall and suffered all that right front damage. 4 tire change from Jimmy. Crew continuing to work on this race car, trying to get it better and better to recover from that earlier incident.
So again, 3 more drivers to pit to finish this cycle. Blaney, Reagan, and Yaley. Then you'll get back around to Casey Kane and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who will be the new second place runner when they cycle out the stops.
And right now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is running the fastest lap times.
There's Kane coming at you. Still 26 laps to go. That's a long way here at the massive Pocono Raceway. Back live at Pocono Raceway, there is the man who's reassumed the lead in this race, Casey Kane, after the cycle of green flag pit stops. Back out in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, and Kurt Busch, who will be the top 5 after a couple of guys finish cycling through pit road here in a moment. Jimmie Johnson, just joining us, was the story of the first half of this race, and then just a couple of laps shy of halfway after Johnson dominated, that happened.
Yeah, right front tire went down right there in the tunnel turn.
So after starting on the pole, Jimmie Johnson now trying to salvage what he can on the day. He's in 25th place in the last car on the lead lap. At the moment, Johnson led 49 laps today. He still led the most laps in this race, despite as long as Casey Kane has been out in front. What a dominant day for Hendrick Motorsports again. I remember Johnson now with his troubles, but totally dominated the first half of this race. And look at their other three cars, first, fourth, and fifth.
He got a good company package today.
Gordon looking up ahead at Dale Earnhardt Jr. and trying to get a spot from him. That's fourth place. Now that will be second place when a couple of out-of-sync cars, David Reagan and J.J. Yaley, make pit stops. So now Gordon is closest to Casey Kane with 22 laps to go. And I say closest because it's still a pretty long way.
This 5-car was fast here back in June. They had that problem early on with the drivetrain, repaired that, came back out, ran a lot of fast laps throughout the day. So even though they didn't have the practice yesterday, they pretty much knew that they had a good enough car in race conditions that they would be a factor in this race today.
And there's Gordon. There's the gap. It's a pretty sizable one from first to second. But solid day for Jeff Gordon. You know, in a position where he needs to have solid days to try and make this chase and be in position to race for a championship.
Yeah, this was kind of what they needed, following up on a good run last week at Indianapolis. They just need to be mistake-free and be able to say that they had some relatively good racing luck for these next ones. Got Watkins Glen coming up, where he is just excellent road racer. Michigan racetrack that he's done well at also. So it'd be a nice little cushion they could build themselves with some solid performances.
Jeff started the day 10th in the championship and only 1 point ahead of 11th place, but he says he's in pretty good shape, where he thinks anyway, where the points are concerned.
That's the beauty of where I'm at in points. I don't have to dial back anything. We are in full-on aggressive mode. It's, you know, for us, do we have to win? No. You know, do we have to put 7 really good races together? Yes. And in order to put good races together, you know, I'm talking top 5s, because you look at the guys that we're racing against, and they can easily do that. You know, we've got to push, not pull back.
Obviously that, Jeff Gordon addressing that a week ago at Indianapolis.
Yeah, no real strategy involved for him to make the chase. He has to run hard. He has to outrun these guys, and he doesn't need to think about conserving points or making a conservative call. They've got to push every race.
I kind of like having him behind the wheel if I'm in that situation as a team.
Look at the number of races Jeff Gordon has won at the remaining tracks until that chase cutoff. In 2 words, a lot.
Yeah. Well, he's just solid performer everywhere. And you look back this year, even whenever they've had these issues with the DNFs, they've been running strong. This is a good race team and great driver, Doc.
Indeed it is, and just like what Jeff Gordon was talking about a moment ago, before the race when he and I were waiting to talk, we chatted a little bit about Alan Gustafson on the left side of your screen. He said, you know, a year ago we were able to give Alan Gustafson a win on his birthday. Today would be great to get one on my birthday. He said, but I'm not going to give away a top 10 finish to gamble on a victory. If I'm 4th, 5th, 6th late in the race, I'll just get that finish and we'll top 10 our way into the chase. But if I'm 2nd or 3rd, he said, I don't know about you, but I feel like we ought to gamble to get the win. I haven't won a race this year. This is the best place for me to get one today. So we'll see what happens if they get the chance.
Now, strong, solid day for Jeff Gordon. And right now, no gambling necessary.
Fastest lap, last lap. So his car's dialed in at the right time.
You can see watching him, he's up on the wheel too, getting all that he can.
There's Dale Jr. running 3rd. Started the day 5th in the championship. And we talked about Junior, really solid day for that team. And Ryan Newman, off his Indy win, comes to Pocono, backs it up with a run in the top 5.
Yeah, I'm just so impressed with Tony Stewart's organization, and especially this race team here. They did not have speed early on this year. They were struggling with this car, couldn't find speed. Man, they made a turnaround, and they've got Tony and Ryan victories and working their way towards being in the chase.
And Kurt Busch right behind Newman had the tough pit stop there just a few laps back that cost him a couple of spots on the racetrack, a few spots actually.
Whoa. I see Kurt getting all out of it that he can right now. Yeah, they lost him about 3 spots from where he was running on that pit stop. Just unfortunate. Andy, as a crewman, you've got to get it done all day long. There's no room for any mistakes in this as close as things are.
And if you make a mistake, you want to do it early in the race. Don't do it at the end when you don't have time to make up for it.
But still a solid run for this team.
Yep, another one. Brad Keselowski led 14 laps, 5 different occasions in this race. Really, the track position game has just not fallen in their favor today.
It didn't work out for him, but one thing I've noticed, he was over 14 seconds behind before that last round of pit stops. He has closed that some. And more important, he's gained a lot of spots. He's up to 6th place, but I don't think he's going to be able to make a full recovery if it goes all the way green to the end.
I know they'd like to win, but a solid effort, and that's what they needed.
Tony Stewart running 7th. Started back in 20th. Tony got shuffled back by the whole hopscotch pit strategy earlier. Got caught out on the racetrack as the leader, because he'd got a pit road speeding penalty early in the race that put him out of sync with some of the others, and that lost track position when the caution came out while he was leading and then had to make a stop has been something Tony's been trying to make up ever since.
Yeah, as I look at this, and think about as they work their way towards the chase, how many excellent drivers and teams are we going to have battling when we get to Richmond that maybe have one win or sitting right there, from that 8th spot on back? It's just going to be incredible to watch these drivers and teams perform over these next 5 weeks.
Yeah. So much at stake, and you can feel the tension in the garage when you're in there too, when you talk to these people. There's Kyle Busch running as high as 2nd earlier, racing Casey Kane for the lead on a couple of restarts. Now he's back at 8th.
They've lost the handle here lately. I don't know what happened here in the last couple of runs, but that car's just not been as good. Dave, what's going on with Kyle Busch?
Andy, it was that gamble they took for 2 tires that you thought before Jimmy hit the wall might have helped them, but it really didn't because they kept the lefts on there for so long. He lost positions. So when they finally took 4 this last time, he's actually picked up a couple of spots since they restarted, but it was that long run on old left side tires.
Okay, he's pretty loose right there too.
Yeah, one thing with these cars, because these things are so fast, if it gets off just a little bit, it's really magnified a lot because of the speeds that these guys are running around this track.
Greg Biffle running in 9th, just ahead of Joey Logano in 10th. So there are your top 10, and just like his teammate Keselowski, Logano just not able to work it to get the track position that they needed through the strategy from earlier in the race.
They were certainly hoping for better than just a 10th place. They were needing definitely a top 10, and that's right on the edge of it there, but still a solid effort for Logano and the race team.
So Casey Kane leading a Hendrick Motorsports 1-2-3 at the moment, Dave.
Now it's time for the Goodyear Superior Performer of the race. That is Casey Kane right now. And when you think about the tale of 2 Poconos for this team, in June when they came here, it was the opening laps they spent in the garage. A drive shaft failure. They changed the entire transmission. He finished 36th on that day. And you heard him in countdown when he came to the pit studio this morning. He said, we've just got to finish these things. Well, they have gone almost all the way to the finish, and they have been a superior performer indeed today. Kenny Francis on the box has called a good race. Casey's had a very fast car, and they've kept it all together.
Caution. Debris in turn 2. Erasing a 7.6 second lead that Casey Kane had over Jeff Gordon. Oh boy.
Oh boy is right.
Yeah. 5 cars been fast, but you never want to get yourself in a position where you had a big lead and you have to make a restart and so many things can happen.
good break for people like Keselowski, though.
Yep.
They were able to make up some of the ground they'd lost.
Yeah,
get
still
back
with a
in.
fast car, for sure. We thought these other restarts, and the start of the race was wild with 400 miles to go. What's it going to take now inside of 10 laps to go?
Don't think we'll see anybody make a pit stop here.
Hey,
track position.
you just let my next question is.
I can hear you.
Yeah. You can see those wheels turning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Gordon. Well, you know, and I'm just thinking back to Doc's story earlier of his conversation in the garage this morning with Jeff about if I'm running second or third and you get down to a few laps to go. They may not be able to gamble on the pit strategy here, but that driver may have a couple opportunities to try and make some things happen on the racetrack for a win.
And you don't know what Casey Kane's been doing with his car when he's out front as far as lap times, but his other teammates have been matching him and beating him at times on the racetrack, so they all three have good cars.
My. Again, 7.6 seconds was Casey's lead over Jeff. So thinking back to how this works and how after a couple laps Casey's been able to get away from everybody, if you're Jeff Gordon, you better be on go on this restart.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of restarts where whenever Casey was even the leader and he took off, it wasn't like he was dominant and getting up through the gears. Now in turn one, he was leaving the door open there, but didn't take him long to recover. But you better not leave that open for Jeff Gordon.
Not now.
And I'm just thinking Ryan Newman, too.
Oh,
was that last restart where he picked up like four cars in turn one? Better be watching Newman. None of the leaders are pitting. Get set for a little hot 10 laps of racing at Pocono. Remember the crazy finish of this race a year ago? Jeff Gordon running fifth when Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth tangled racing for the lead. Gordon slipped through to first. Then, before they could restart the race, it started raining and never got back going. And Jeff Gordon scored the win here at Pocono. That was a year ago. Now thinking back to the last restart we had here when a guy who was running back, about 7th in line, got aggressive in turn one and picked up 4 spots.
Yeah, we might see that again. Ryan Newman, you can see the last the last restart, he's behind Carl Edwards. Made up a ton of spots.
He was 10th in line, 9th in line. Little 3 wide, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4.
Gotta go, and now he's gonna make up. I think he actually gets Biffle by the time they get to the tunnel turn.
Yeah. So, that's how the last restart was. Now we're doubled up to try again with what will be 8 laps to go. David Reagan free pass, 25th place, last on the lead lap. Up front, 300 Motorsports cars, running 1, 2, 3. Casey Kane choosing the outside lane with Jeff Gordon to his inside. Then Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Ryan Newman in row 2. Kurt Busch, who has that inside lane. And Brad Keselowski, all ones to watch. Oh, and Tony Stewart's never been shy about aggression on a restart either.
Here we go.
Green.
Jeff might have a run getting to the tunnel.
Boy, made a great run off of turn 2. I thought he was too far back. Taking the lead, though.
Not yet, and watch that 78 car coming hard from third. Check that, 39 Newman.
Yeah, Newman had a great restart. He was getting a big push from Keselowski.
Yes, sir.
Gordon does an incredible job of taking the lead.
So Jeff Gordon out in front. Wow.
See Casey Kane trying.
Gordon, Kane, Newman, Kurt Busch. Now Kane, the last couple of runs, after he got going, has had incredible speed in that car. He better get going now.
The problem is he's got Jeff Gordon in it.
Apologize for the audio difficulties, but we're excited over these last few laps.
A lot going on here. I knew Jeff Gordon had a fast race car. I just wasn't sure it was good enough to make a pass on what we had seen to be a dominant car here in Casey Kane.
Yeah. Five laps to go.
That's a long way around this 2.5 miles.
I've been watching the lap times. You know, Jeff Gordon's car had been fast. So had Junior's before that caution came out, but I didn't know he was going to have that much for Casey Kane.
Yeah, I knew we'd seen Kane struggle on the restarts just a little bit, but by turn 2 and then 3, he was able to get his speed up and hold everybody off, and he's coming hard at Jeff Gordon right now, too.
Now, Junior's been shuffled back to 6th. Here's double wide here. Kyle Busch trying to find a spot under Joey Logano. That'd be 8th and 9th. And that'll set up Greg Biffle for a big run down to turn 3.
Got to spin off too.
Trouble, turn 2. Matt Kenseth. The day that starts lousy ends lousy.
Yeah, this car, he's been struggling with this race car all day after that contact on the very first lap.
And just like Casey Kane saw that 7.5-second lead erased with the caution, all that work Jeff Gordon did to get ahead of Casey Kane, gone.
Yeah, he's going to have to work hard on this restart, but he does control it this time as the leader.
Wow. Well, you know, I was doing an interview earlier with the Allentown newspaper in advance of the race, and I told them, I said, I had a hunch that this race would be a little bit crazy because at Pocono, my recollection is when one race is kind of tame, the other race goes a little, well, the June race was kind of tame. Here we go.
Not so much this time.
Not so much. What happened to Matt Kenseth?
Here he is on the inside. Looks like Bobby Labonte. Looks like he just lost it. Here's somebody that did not want to see that caution.
No.
Somebody they're going to have to watch on this that will be, once again, we just pointed him out at the last restart, but Ryan Newman's going to be in that 3rd spot. He has really been set on go on these restarts.
The big loser on the last one was Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's fallen back to 6th place.
Yeah, I just mentioned that a minute ago. He got shuffled out and all that knocking around down there, and by the time he got going off of turn 1, they had a charge on him.
Yeah, he's not in a good spot now either, in 6th on the outside.
Yeah. Wow. Well, just one other small item to bring up. Fuel to the finish in case this restart brings about another incident.
Yeah, that's when it could get interesting.
You know,
yes.
I mean, they should all be good to go here.
We've got a lot of caution laps that we've run, and they should be okay. But extension of the race does bring some stress.
You think?
Yeah.
How stressed do you think Jeff Gordon is here?
I think he's focused. Alan Gustafson, that guy is stressed.
Kind of out of his hands right now. He's done everything you can do.
This is tough, man. I'm telling you, you're standing on that box and you've got this. There's nothing you can do with all that nervous energy. At least Jeff's got something to do.
Interesting here. The leader's chosen the outside lane for every start all day, including the initial start. Jeff Gordon's going to choose the inside lane.
Well, that's where he made his pass from last time. So apparently he feels like that's the best place for him and his race car. That's what you have to do as a driver.
So this will be 2 laps to the finish from the green flag. Not a green-white checker overtime. These are the last 2 laps of the scheduled distance. Last time, Jeff Gordon managed to hang with Casey Kane for better part of a lap and then get away from him. Now this time, it's Kane trying to see if he can get the jump on Jeff Gordon and get the win with all those other hungry guys right behind him, looking to see if they can take advantage.
Yeah, don't forget about that 78 car, Kirk Busch. As much as Jeff Gordon wants to win, there's nobody that would rather get to the front of this than Kirk Busch and get a win for this team.
Yeah, I still like Andy's call of Ryan Newman. Watching him from the inside of that second row.
Boy, he'll have those elbows flying on this restart. You see him standing up in the seat, ready to go.
He got him flying just cleaning up the tires. Well, a day's worth of work, a weekend's worth of work comes down to these final 2 laps. Get a good restart, you might take home a trophy. Make a mistake, you will go home regretting it.
Got a lot of spots to possibly be lost here with a mistake.
2 laps to go. Who's going to win? Run into turn 1 for Casey Kane on the outside.
Just you and him, still there.
Tell you, when you're the leader, you don't have anything to judge off of down there. I think Jeff Gordon was a little too easy getting down in there. What's going to happen in the tunnel here?
Wow. Casey Kane just drove that car in the corner.
Wow.
That was impressive pass right there. He did not get a very good restart.
Now, we'd seen that a number of times, but wow, the run that he made down into 1 and off of there, and then that was an incredible corner that he made through turn 2.
He drove off into turn 1, and I still don't think he's lifted yet. White flag is up. We're in the final lap. 3 more tricky Pocono corners for Casey Kane, and one that almost got away might be coming back to him. This is a team and a driver that I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to break out and to just tear off 2 or 3 wins. What a performance by them today.
Yeah, not only are they moving up inside, well inside the top 10, a second victory for the year. We're going to talk about him being a part of the chase for sure.
And not only that, probably being a championship contender.
The checkered flag at Pocono today, Casey Kane. Jeff Gordon will get second after that last restart when Kane sailed it off into turn 1 on the outside and made it stick.
Good job, guys. Yeah, we needed that. Way to go. Great car. Fastest car here. Thanks.
That's a great redemption. Him taking the lead the way he did that on purpose. Went down in turn 1, like you said, Alan, never lifted, I don't think, till he got around to the white flag.
So a restart with 8 to go. After Kane erased a 7-second lead.
Must be a nice little burnout.
Had a 7-second lead erased by a caution flag. Jeff Gordon got by him. Then got a break. When Matt Kenseth got tangled up and spun around off turn number 2, they had to do it again with 2 laps to go. And it did look like Kane did not get a very good restart. But boy, he never cracked that throttle, sailing off into turn number 1. And by the time they exited turn 2, he had a fender ahead of Jeff Gordon and never looked back.
Just that commitment into turn 2 on the outside. I mean, you can do that as a driver on the inside. A lot of times you'll go on and drive it in there. But being on that outside groove, that's knowing what you and your car are capable of doing right there. And as you said, Andy, he had a purpose with making that pass.
A rather simple donut, wasn't it?
Well, it ended simple. He started it pretty fast. He was going about 40 miles an hour when he started it.
I think maybe he's going to give us the long burnout here.
Yeah, somebody wants to pick up.
What's going to happen if he keeps doing donuts is he's going to run out of gas. So, well, Jeff Gordon, second to last restart, got the lead away. But Doc, on that last one, he couldn't hang on.
And he climbs out of his Chevrolet. Jeff, not the birthday present you wanted, the victory today, but what a run from 22nd to second. Take us to the final restart in the turn one and the move that Casey Kane made off of two.
It's so funny how our emotions go up and down in this sport. Going into the race, if you told me I could finish second, I'd say that was a great birthday gift. But when you're leading, take the lead from Casey the way we did, on that restart, I thought we had him. He was better than us, but I thought, out in front we could hold him off. And I got a perfect restart on that last one, probably jumped him a little bit. And I moved up in front of him, and it looked like I needed to block the inside. So, I kind of protect the inside, and he blasted up there on the outside and flat out drove me through one. And, I'm disappointed that we didn't get this win. This team has worked so hard to put ourselves in position. Really proud of all the efforts by Drive to End Hunger and what they do for the millions of older Americans that are hungry out there. And, this is certainly going to contribute towards that. But a little disappointed, but also excited because there's a good point stay for us, and we needed that.
The gamut of emotions for a NASCAR Sprint Cup driver, the final 6 laps here at Pocono. Alan?
The quote that came out of that one, Doc, was, he flat out drove me.
Well, that was an honest statement, and you got to hand it to Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon for the way he handled that interview.
Both of them put on a terrific show.
Oh, that was great racing. Gosh, we saw a lot of passing for the lead today, and throughout that top 10 area. A lot of fun to watch, but when you see two champions like that battling hard and racing hard, see just how much it means.
So Jeff Gordon has to settle for second, and in victory lane, Casey Kane to Pennzoil victory lane to hear from the winner.
Yeah, those are your peeps up there, the ones who got you this far, but man, you drove that car at the end of this race. Describe those final laps, Casey.
Well, it was about gave it away. Jeff got behind me, and I was behind, and then that final restart, I spun my tires a little bit. He got a great jump, and Kurt pushed me all the way to turn one, which really helped. And then I had one opportunity. It was either go for it and make it work or not. And as good as our Farmers Insurance Chevrolet was all day long, I thought we could make that work on the outside. I just needed to clear him, and when we got to turn 2, I was able to do that. So it was a great race. We had a really fast car. Kenny called an awesome race, and Keith Rodden and the whole pit crew did a perfect job. But thanks to Time Warner Cable, Great Clips, Pepsi Max, Quaker State, HendrickCars.com, Sprint. We needed this one to get in the chase. I mean, we really did, and it feels really good. So we have a strong team. They've done a great job. I want to say too, Jason Leffler. Last time we were here, he rode home with me, and we had a great time together. And everybody misses him. Our other friend Gary Zeronin had a heart attack after the Brickyard last weekend. He was there hanging out with us all day, and he's in Indianapolis recovering. So some of our really good friends, and it's a good win for everybody.
Casey, your second of the year. When you came here in June, the day started with disappointment, and you left yet for a long day, 36. Describe what it's like to leave from victory lane.
Well, we had a great car that day. Jimmy did too, and I think we would have had an awesome battle between the two of our cars. But so we just fought all day to see where we were once the guys got the car fixed. And today we were cruising forward the whole time. And then once we got there, we stayed up front, and it feels really good. Our Hendrick engines are unbelievable. The Hendrick chassis and cars and transmissions, everything that is part of this race car here. I mean, everybody that is part of that does an awesome job. I'm so happy to win.
Congratulations. A lot of things on his mind, but winning first and foremost today, and he did a great job, Alan.
Certainly, Dave. And You know, Casey and all of his team, they work all week. They focus on one thing, and that's the chance to be part of that. A celebration on a Sunday.
Takes a lot of people to make this happen.
Yeah, special feeling as a driver. Tough racetrack. Casey Kane tamed it today.
I think the crew enjoyed it too.
I think.
Back with more post-race coverage from Pocono. Well, the terrific fight for the finish here at Pocono between Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon was one of the headlines of the day. The other was the driver and car that dominated the first half of the race, having that happen to them 2 laps shy of halfway. Jimmy Johnson cutting down a right front, hitting the turn 2 wall, soldiering on the rest of the day with a number of stops. They probably made about 15 pit stops, Vince, and Johnson wound up finishing 13th.
After having his heart broken last week at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Brickyard 400, Jimmy Johnson with another tough day today. But Jimmy, you guys made something out of nothing after that flat tire to finish 13th. How proud are you of this team?
Yeah, just really proud of the effort to work through the damaged race car. And then I guess I hit so hard it knocked one of the spark plug wires off the spark plug, and I was running on 7 cylinders, and we finally figured that out and got the spark plug wire on, and then the car ran good again. And I don't know how with the damaged race car and all the trouble we went through today, we salvaged the 13th. So just a team effort, very proud of everybody involved. Unfortunately, we had that flat, you know, if they're leading the race when it blew, but stuff happens, it's racing.
Did you get any indication at all that you were maybe having some right front issue at all before it let go?
No, and the way it went, it just exploded, so I'm not really sure what caused it, but late off of turn 1, it just exploded, and that was it.
Thanks, Jimmy. Nice job. Jimmy Johnson, 13th.
Well, Dale Jr. has a great day. Pit stops were solid, but Friday you guys had a serious vibration. It was a shake, actually, what you called it. They changed everything that could rotate. How good was the car today, and how did you guys get it better through the race?
Yeah, it was better as far as the vibration goes. We changed everything but the engine. I want to thank the guys. They worked really hard. We really did. We changed everything on the car with the motor, and I want to thank the National Guard Youth Foundation for everything that they do and being a part of this weekend for us. And we did have a good car. Not good as we need to be. We changed a little bit from the last time we were here, trying to get better, and I don't think we did. It was a little bit loose in all day, a little bit tighter in the center, and just didn't have the edge we needed. But I felt pretty good coming in here this weekend, real confident. But we got, the weather set us back, and then all that vibration stuff, we never got to work on the car real good Friday. So we just kind of shooting in the dark today. I want to thank my guys. They gave me a good car, did a good job on strategy, as usual, and great pit stops.
All right, Dale Jr., good job by him. Brings it home 5th today.
Well, for Hendrick Motorsports, a 1-2-5 finish today. And Jimmy Johnson, really, that was quite the rally to get 13th.
Yeah, it was. That car was really destroyed in that crash. They did a lot of work on it, and evidently they did a good job with it.
Yeah, sign of championship team.
A lot of pit stops for that 48 team today. The right pit stops, the right strategy, and the right timing for Casey Kane on that restart. He's your winner.
Pretty wacky 160 laps just wrapped up from Pocono Raceway, but the racing continues tonight on ESPN2. It's the O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Northwest Nationals coming your way from Seattle. The finals at 7 o'clock Eastern. Then next weekend, we come to you from Watkins Glen. First up, it's the NASCAR Nationwide Series Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern on ABC. And Sunday, the Sprint Cup Series both goes left and right. That is noon Eastern on ESPN. Certainly an interesting day at Pocono. Casey Kane, your winner. Inside the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio with Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty, and Ray Evernham, I'm Nicole Briscoe. So much happened in this race today, and a couple of contenders really kind of went out early, including a guy who's won here 4 times, talking about Denny Hamlin, who really needed to have a good day today, but went out very early.
Oh yeah, he just comes off of turn 3, and as he downshifts, the car gets loose. He tries to correct it, gets in a wall, and just tears the car to pieces. I mean, just can't get any luck going at all for Denny Hamlin right now.
Finished this day in 43rd. Not a good day for Denny Hamlin. What started off to be a very good day for Jimmy Johnson, started on pole, led 43 laps, then got a flat tire.
Very unexpectedly had that right front tire go down, and boom, he's into the wall. Bent some stuff in the suspension that they didn't think was bent. He gets on pit road. Long day for Jimmy Johnson, but these guys battled their rear ends off and got a good finish out of the day.
13th for Jimmy Johnson. Not the best day for Danica Patrick.
No, she was actually having a good day running in the top 20 most of the day. Got herself in a little bad position being on the bottom, entering the tunnel turn there. Took the side force off her car, spun around, collected up a couple other cars. She was very disappointed, but was doing a good job before that incident.
And then the moment of the race, the final restart, Kasey Kahne. What do you say about this?
I think it was just a heroic move. I mean, the sails down in the tunnel turn at turn 2, picks the throttle up, gets around Gordon. I mean, this was the drive of the day. It took a lot of nerve to do what he did. He told everybody he had to go for it. I mean, this was a great win for Kasey Kahne.
Kasey Kahne now 8th in points. He was able to gain a spot, and he now has an 18-point cushion over 10th, which, of course, is that all-important mark, or excuse me, 11th when it comes to making the chase. What I think is interesting, though, Kasey Kahne is not totally safe from falling out of the top 10. But what does make him safe is he has 2 wins, which puts guys with 1 win in an even more precarious situation.
Yeah, everyone from 11th on back is really nervous right now because of Kasey Kahne. If he does fall backwards, which I don't think he will because he's running so well, it puts a lot of pressure on someone's going to lose that wild card spot. So everyone's got to pick up their game. Like we said early on, you've got to win races if you're going to make this chase and have a chance to win this championship.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that we're seeing a mounting challenge, all right? We keep looking at the 48 saying, okay, that car's got the speed. They've got the – but Kasey was in here with us this morning. We kept saying, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? He said, all right, y'all, you want to see what it's going to take?
That's right.
Take days like today.
Yeah, I agree.
If he puts more of those together, he could be the threat that upsets the 48.
I think Casey's on a bit of a run right now, but the guy I would be – if I was this guy, I'd be really nervous right now, be Martin Truex. Here's a guy that's got 1 win, thought he's looking pretty good shape right now. Now Kasey wins this thing, puts him right in trouble right now.
Well, it was a very good day for Kasey Kahne. We had him in the pit studio when this day began. He's ending his day in victory lane. His 2nd win of the season for Kasey Kahne. Now let's talk to Jamie Little.
And Tony Stewart brings it home 9th today. Very impressive after that pit road speeding penalty. But you're just casually hanging out. You said you like to talk to your crew chief when things are fresh on your mind. What's fresh on your mind now after this race?
We're just a little bit tight on entry versus where we were in the spring. So, you know, I got a very short memory, so I'm better off staying a couple extra minutes and talking to these guys on this GoDaddy Chevy after this race a little bit. And just, you know, we just talk about while it's fresh on our mind, and it gives them something to think about while they're on the plane ride back. And, you know, we'll have our debrief tomorrow morning. But just pretty happy. I mean, Steve Addington did a great job. The guy at the pit crew did a great job getting us some track position after I made a mistake. So they definitely carried me today.
You're knocking off those top 10s. This is the 3rd one in the last 4 races. Looking at the big picture, you saw the points there. How much are you thinking about big picture chase? Are you worried at all, or do you guys feel pretty solid where you're going?
Well, I mean, we've been running good. It's just, you know, we still need to be a little bit better. I mean, there's cars that are still a little bit better than us right now that we're trying to get caught up to. So I think our focus is more on that than making the chase. It's you know, it's one thing to make the chase, but it's another thing to once you get there, you gotta have something you can contend with. So you know, we're staying focused on just taking it 1 week at a time and working on our program, and you know, Bass Pro and Mobile One, and we had GoDaddy this week on the car. So you know, it just, you know, everybody's working hard. All of our partners are excited, and you know, especially after Ryan's win at the Brickyard last week. So proud of him for that, and you know, we just got to keep plugging away. And everybody at SHR is doing an awesome job, and Hendrick Engines and Chassis are doing a great job too. So everybody's working hard. Everybody's doing a good job. We just got to keep clicking them off, and you know, just keep getting a little bit better each week.
Moving in the right direction. Tony Stewart, 9th today. Doc?
Well, reigning Sprint Cup champion Brad Keselowski needed something good to happen starting this weekend, and it did. Your truck won here on Saturday. You go to Iowa, win the nationwide race, and then have a great run in the Cup car today. A lot of the crew are smiling. You didn't seem to be that happy when you climbed out with a 6th-place finish.
No, I want to win. You know, we had a decent day, led some laps, Jerry, and had a lot of fun battling there with Kasey and Jeff, and just, you know, cycled out a little bit there towards the end. We know we have speed. We've seen a little bit more. We were probably about a 4th, 5th place car, ended up 6th, so it's about where we deserve to be. But we just need that little bit more to win. And right now, you know, you guys saw the points and showed them, you know, every 1 point counts, but the wins really help out. So, you know, that's what we're focused on. And you know, I can tell you, Jerry, we're not going to hold back any punches. There's, you know, still 5 races left, and this deal is going to come down to the last lap at Richmond.
Okay, take a look at the next 5 races, okay? Looking at the fact that you're good at certain tracks, better at others, where do you think that first win of the year could come between now and when the chase starts?
Really, any one of them. We're going to go test Atlanta this week, and we've ran well there. We've ran well at Bristol. We finished second at the Glen the last 2 or 3 times. Michigan, we've kind of been hit or miss, you know, at Bristol. It's been a good track for me. And then we're going to go test Richmond. So we could get on a real hot streak over the next 5 races. So, you know, it's just we're ready. It's just time. We just got to get there.
We saw that hot streak a year ago in the chase when you won the championship. Great run today, and we will see you next week at Watkins Glen.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Reigning champion Brad Keselowski, and he said it, folks. He said he thinks this chase is going to go down to the final lap at Richmond. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, Kurt Busch has a solid day, brings it home third. The pits were good, the car seemed good, but at the end you said, I feel like a fish out of water. What happened to the car?
Just right there in the mix, you know, on restarts. I felt like we gained spots each time, and the lap times that we were running before that final pit stop, we weren't able to maintain those at the end. And so temperatures of the track increased, and I don't think we changed anything on the car, but just got to thank the guys. This is a phenomenal type run today to execute, learn from what we did here in June, to post the top 3, and to run with the guys that we have to run with to make it into the chase. And just real happy with these guys, and Furniture Row and our mattress brands that are with us, Monster Energy. It's good to run strong when it's time. And right now we're getting that job done, even though we haven't crossed the threshold to win. On that last restart, the only option I had was to push Kane, and I felt like we got hooked up in one of those 2-car drafts and got him clear of the 24. I wanted to go to his high side, but I would have definitely been fish out of water in the gray area in turn 1. It would have been pretty big. So happy for this finish and this team and just the job we're doing.
Hey, and happy 35th birthday, Kurt Busch. Go celebrate.
Thank you. Yeah, I forgot. I was hoping Gordon didn't win. We share the same birthday. But, you know, it's neat to have a chance to win on your birthday, and we almost got it.
Well, we should change Ryan Newman's name to Recovery Ryan. You recovered last week in Indianapolis to win the race, and a couple of slow pit stops had you back in the pack, but you recovered for a top 5 today. Tell us about your run.
Really fast car. The Haas Automation Chevrolet was really good, and just struggled in the pits, like you said, Jerry, and there's no doubt that hurt us. But good comeback, good for Quicken Loans, and they're bringing home sweepstakes. Go to KiloRacing.com to figure that program out. I get a top 5 people get mortgage paid for a month, and then obviously it's a Bloomin' Monday. So hit your Outback on Monday and get a Bloomin' Onion.
Ryan Newman finishing 4th today.
What, Junior?
So we've heard from all of the top 6 finishers, and now we'll look at how they ran today over 400 miles at Pocono.
Yeah, some impressive runs, no doubt. Casey Kane just plastered the field there for a long time. But Joey Logano found himself in the top 10, but I think he got further away from 10th in the points is the only problem.
Yeah, you see all the Chevys up there in the top 5, and Kurt Busch inching closer and closer to getting that first win for the Furniture Road race. For the first win of the year, I'm sorry.
Saw Carl Edwards get shuffled back on a restart, only got back to 11th. We documented the problems that Jimmy Johnson had. And another nice recovery from Martin Truex Jr. and his team.
Yeah, they managed something there. You can see Kevin Harvick and his team struggling once again, but they're solidly up in the points.
Last on the lead lap was Travis Kvapil in 26th position. Juan Pablo Montoya involved in a crash very early in the race, spent the rest of the day limping around. Ricky Stenhouse involved in a crash with Montoya on the very first lap of the race. And Denny Hamlin involved in an early crash that sent him to the garage in the opening laps of the race. So what was a very big crowd here at Pocono today begin to file out. The celebration continues in Victory Lane. Casey Kane and company celebrating their second win of the season. Bristol back in March was the first, and now they're in Victory Lane again here in early August in Pennsylvania. You know, whether you're driving a street stock on a quarter-mile dirt track on a Saturday night in a 15-lap feature or a Sprint Cup Series machine at Pocono on a Sunday, restarts. It's basic racing. You got to get them right. And we saw a couple of the best in the business trade restart leads in these closing laps.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. We talked about that. That was going to be a big part of the story here. And Casey Kane wasn't that strong on the restarts. He actually said he spun his tires on the very last restart. But Jeff Gordon did a great job. So a lot of fun to watch these drivers and how they performed in these pressure-packed situations.
Yeah, that's the thing. Casey Kane when he controlled the restart, he did okay. But then when Jeff Gordon was controlling the restart, he did not get a good start. He falls back, and I thought his day was done as far as winning this race. He had let Jeff Gordon get free and clear down in turn 1, but boy, oh boy, did he drive this car.
And just blasted on in there and made it stick on the outside, and Casey Kane comes away with the trophy and with the victory. Overriding impressions of this race, I'll start with another possible trophy for Jimmie Johnson that got away. We've seen that a few times this season, now in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, we certainly have, and I think that the team will be interested to find out exactly what created that situation. Was it something they ran over? Exactly what happened there? Was it something they're doing? That's whenever they'll really get kind of nervous and examine that. But a fast race car with a championship team ready to go again, but they have to eliminate these problems whenever they have the fastest car.
Yeah, I'm thinking this may have been a bad luck situation because the other teams did not have a problem. They ran good. They ran up front. I think Casey Kane actually had the best car even at the end. I think if Jimmie Johnson stayed in this race, I still believe Casey Kane could have beaten him heads up. But I think Jimmie Johnson has, they've come up on something new that's made their cars faster.
Second storyline kind of tied to the Jimmie Johnson thing, but manufacturers. We talked about the Hendrick horsepower and the Chevrolet dominance at Indianapolis last week. Well, again today, there are bow ties in the top 5 finishing positions. First Ford is in 6th place. First Toyota is in 8th place.
Yeah, the Chevys definitely have an advantage, and I do believe it's under the hood. I think they're making great power, but I do believe that Hendrick has found some things that's made their cars faster on the chassis department, and it's filtered over to Stewart-Haas Racing as well.
Yeah, and we saw back earlier on, Matt Kenseth winning a lot of races earlier in this year. Kyle Busch running exceptionally well. They were making a lot of power with these Toyotas. Then they started having issues. Then that was dialed back. And even though they're saying they're back where they are, it's not showing that as in their performance on the racetrack. And I think they're going to have to step up their game. They're going to be a part of the chase scenario. They're going to be in it, but are they going to have a chance to win?
And that chase scenario you talked about, ever so close, both for the top 10 cutoff and for those wild card spots as we look ahead now with just 5 races to go until that Saturday night in Richmond.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time. You see Brad Keselowski's just outside of the top 10. He's got time to get there, but I think that you're going to see a big fight right there at the bottom to try to make this cutoff.
There's going to be we talked about a lot of teams and drivers finishing on the lead lap here. A lot of nervous drivers all week from that 8th spot back to 16th, 17th, about next week at Watkins Glen on the road course where we see a lot of drivers. We talk about restarts. How about the restarts there getting down into turn 1? So this got a lot of nervous people in trying to secure a spot in the chase.
Well, mentioned Watkins Glen. That's where we go next weekend. Next Sunday, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on the super speedway of road courses where last year we saw the beating and the banging and the pit strategy and then that incredible knockdown drag-out last lap between Marcos Ambrose and Brad Keselowski.
That might have been the best last lap I've ever seen. That was crazy.
Yeah, going to have to go a long way to top that, but I'm sure that these drivers and teams will do their very best to ensure another great finish.
A lot of great racing coming up at a great variety of venues. Hope you can join us at the track for the race to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and then on into the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Coming up next, X Games Los Angeles. Following our NASCAR coverage, final installment of the 2013 global event schedule. What started in Colorado back in January and has gone through France, Brazil, Spain, and Germany. Now finishes in Southern California. Rallycross, tonight's featured event. Travis Pastrana will be in the field. That is X Games Los Angeles coming up next. Well, next weekend, it is on to the road course in Watkins Glen. Saturday, the NASCAR Nationwide Series race is on ABC starting at 2 Eastern Time. And next Sunday, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race here on ESPN at noon Eastern Time. Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon traded restart leads in the finish with Kane taking home the trophy today.